Chapter 854. She is her, I am he. Senior Han Mei, there are some things that can be learned and some that can never be learned. Bailey Ningbing was slightly stunned, but she immediately shook her head. How Er's relationship with her is much more serious than with you. Forget it, take your time. Cultivate on your own. It will take about a month's time. Venerable Immortal Han Mei, who should be Heavenly Venerable Han Mei now, activated the independent space function of the aircraft and gave Bailey Ningbing a separate space to cultivate. Chen Hao's master? Hu Mainyang, who was sitting cross-legged and immersed in cultivation, suddenly opened her eyes and looked at Venerable Han Mei, who stepped out of a miniature aircraft. She frowned slightly. What is she doing here? Is he looking for me? She was the first to leave the Emperor Jade Essence area. It had been more than 100 years since there was any news of Chen Hao. She originally thought that Chen Hao would come to find her after the shocking battle with Chu Feiyang of the Tyrants, but what made her angry was that there was no response at all. Hu Mainyang, I thank you on behalf of Chen Hao for the matter of Chu Feiyang. Han Mei smiled and cupped her fists when she saw Hu Mainyang looking at her. He should come to thank me himself. Mainyang doesn't dare to accept senior's courtesy. Hu Mainyang hurriedly cupped her fists and bowed back. Although she was angry with Chen Hao, she would not vent her anger on Chen Hao's master. Moreover, Hu Mainyang could feel that Chen Hao's master was not as simple as he seemed. Hao has been in a deep state for 60 years. I'm here to invite you, perhaps it will be of help to you. Han Mei did not have any contact with Hu Mainyang before, so her words were very polite and direct. A deep state for 60 years? Hu Mainyang was shocked and immediately said, Thank you, senior. Mainyang is looking forward to seeing what kind of state he is in. Thank you for your trouble. Hu Mainyang did not stand on ceremony and directly turned into a stream of light and stepped into the aircraft. Han Mei's words undoubtedly explained the reason for Chen Hao's absence, which made Hu Mainyang feel slightly better. 60 years. What kind of deep level of comprehension could remain dormant for 60 years? Moreover, since her master called me over at this time and clearly said that it would be helpful to me, then he should be in a state close to enlightenment, and it will continue for a very long time. It has been 100 years. Could it be that this abnormal fellow has improved faster than me? After boarding the aircraft, Hu Mainyang only casually glanced around. She wasn't surprised, but she was secretly thinking about Chen Hao's situation. It seems his master, or perhaps the whole of Proud Heaven, knew that my relationship with him was over. So at least he has some conscience. Who is in this independent space? Hu Mainyang frowned slightly when she discovered that there was a sealed independent space operating beside her. This time, everyone who is on our side will pass. Beside her was a core member of Proud Heaven, Bailey Ningbing. In about 20 days, we will arrive at Proud Heaven Base. I will open the independent space for you. Han Mei Immortal Venerable said. Many thanks, senior. Hu Mainyang smiled faintly. On our side, Chen Hao's master really knows how to conduct himself. Could it be that he thinks my relationship with him has reached the level of being on his side? I think this is clearly to pick up his Dao companion. Thinking of the relationship between Bailey Ningbing and Chen Hao, although Hu Mainyang didn't show any change on the surface, she was a little unhappy in her heart. Although Han Mei Immortal Venerable's words were very polite, it felt like she was deliberately trying to get closer to Chen Hao. Or perhaps, she originally thought that her relationship with Chen Hao was very close. She was the current generation's saintess of Misty Rain House, and also the strongest saintess in 1,000,000 years. She was even stronger than the previous generation's saintess with an innate Dao embryo. In Hu Mainyang's opinion, Han Mei Immortal Venerable undoubtedly wanted Chen Hao to be her Dao protector and obtain her innate Dao embryo. The benefits to Chen Hao were immeasurable. However, although Hu Mainyang came to this conclusion, strangely, she didn't feel disgusted. This kind of emotion made Hu Mainyang unwilling to think about it. If she was serious, she would lose. Therefore, she could only choose to ignore it. Just like when she fought with Chu Feiyang, she was angry that Chen Hao didn't appear, but she also controlled her emotions to a certain extent. At least, she couldn't let it affect her state of mind. What a majestic vitality! 20 days later, The aircraft arrived at a space with a radius of tens of thousands of miles that was heavily sealed. When Hu Mainyang and Bailey Ningbing stepped into this sealed space under Han Mei Immortal Venerable's lead, they were immediately shocked by the majestic vitality. Every grain of sand, stone, grass, and tree exuded a majestic vitality. It wasn't strange for green grass and ancient trees to appear in this primitive mystic realm. What was strange was that this vitality was completely free from the aura of ancient times. More importantly, every grain of sand and stone without life was like this. Obviously, this vitality was emitted from somewhere and permeated the entire space, thus affecting everything in the world. Shrouded in multicolored light, floating auspicious clouds, surging Tao laws, and lively heaven and earth spiritual energy. Could this be caused by him? A trace of surprise flashed in Hu Mainyang's eyes as she stared at the huge mountain peak at the core of the space. Senior Han Mei, why did you bring us here? Bailey Ningbing, who didn't know the situation, looked at Han Mei Immortal Venerable after a short moment of surprise and asked, "This is Ao Tian's base. Follow me, you'll understand soon." After Han Mei Immortal Venerable finished speaking, she turned into a stream of light and led the way to the core of the mountain. Hu Mainyang and Bailey Ningbing looked at each other and smiled as a greeting before following her. In a few breaths' time, they arrived at the core of the mountain. The dense life force became even more majestic. With every breath, Hu Mainyang and Bailey Ningbing could clearly feel their lifespans increasing. At the same time, a vast and sacred aura enveloped the two of them. "Come in." Buzz. Ah. When the two followed Han Mei Immortal into the cave residence, they were instantly stunned by the scene before them. Bailey Ningbing was only stunned for a moment before she slowly closed her eyes and was directly drawn into a peaceful and tranquil state of cultivation. Lotus blossoming tongue, golden mouth and jade words. Hu Mainyang, who had the natural Taoist embryo, let out a boom. The Taoist principles surged around her and immortal light surrounded her, resisting the endless mysterious aura. Her beautiful eyes stared at the lotus flowers, dancing in the void in astonishment. Almost instantly, she thought of the records in the sex materials. Lotus flower battle, golden mouth and jade words. This was a phenomenon that would only appear when a true almighty imparted Tao. Under this phenomenon, cultivators could gain amazing benefits and even enter a state of enlightenment. Chapter 855. In the records of Hu Mainyang's sect, the Almighty who could cause such a phenomenon when preaching had the ability to turn stone into gold and convert people with a single word. If a cultivator with a slightly weaker cultivation base was in front of them, as long as they were willing, they could convert you with a single word and kill you at their mercy. Great Sanskrit voice. Tao voice. What a profound scripture. Where did he get such a scripture? Hu Mainyang was extremely shocked. Forget it, now is not the time to think about these questions. In an instant, the Tao laws condensed around Hu Mainyang dispersed on their own. Like everyone else, she sat down cross-legged and immersed herself in the profound enlightenment. Chen Shui, Helian Wuzi, Tantai Lian, Xia Yu, the sisters, Long Ting, Long Yi, Du Jing, Lan Feng, Fan Donglu, Fan Dongxing, and Celestial Venerable Yun Wei, who had arrived earlier, were all solemn and dignified. Their bodies emitted a dense aura and were wrapped in lotus flowers. Everyone's chi was quietly undergoing a transformation. The profundity of this scripture is beyond imagination. Venerable Han Mei saw Hu Mainyang resist for a moment and give up voluntarily. She nodded slightly and said in her heart, "I still need to be reformed by my son. Damn it, Qianxia is a freak. He has indeed surpassed me in all aspects. Have you ever thought about where Hao Er's secrets come from?" Of course I have. The reason why I named Hao Er Qianxia is that his origin is completely beyond my knowledge. But one thing is certain, Xuemei and I raised him. Even if he comes from another powerful universe, he can be considered my son. Why should I care? I'm afraid you don't have the ability to care, right? Well, after I cut my path, I naturally have to go out and explore. The universe is endless. Who can set foot in it completely? I have a feeling that since Tianxi can shatter the starry sky, cross the universe planes, and descend to the vast universe galaxy, he must have a certain connection with the vast universe galaxy. His physical talent reminds me of someone. The number one genius of the vast universe galaxy, Yi Xian. That's right. Haven't you noticed that Tianxi's appearance is more or less similar to Yi Xian's image? But Yi Xian disappeared 1,000,000 years ago. At that time, she was only Daoyuo Jingxian. That's what I'm puzzled about. However, although Yi Xian's disappearance was a mystery, according to common sense, with her talent and luck, no matter how one looked at it, there was no sign of her dying prematurely. Perhaps she had an even more amazing encounter. Cutting Dao, although I'm already invincible in Hongmeng, I've never been able to take this step, and as I don't have freedom. Otherwise, with my current cultivation, I would be able to roam the boundless starry sky. Don't take it for granted. Without a Dao-severing cultivator, how many mighty figures who went out to travel returned? Who would dare to go out after surviving? Be content with what you have. No. Han Mei, this time, no matter what, I will sever my Dao. Even if I die a horrible death. But what's wrong with that? There's no particular reason. As an old man, it's an honor to be surpassed by my son, and it's something to be proud of. However, I also have my own pride. I want to prolong my time as long as possible and be the most solid support for my son. Let my son be proud of me, right? Winter Plum Blossom. Stop talking. I understand. This is the coming of a great era. Perhaps you're right. Reincarnation, the past is the past. For Xiao Shui, I won't argue with you anymore. Really? Fake. Han Mei, now let's sever our Dao together, okay? There's a myriad of mysteries in the sound of Dao. If I can sever my Dao with my son's help, I'm 100 times more confident. Don't call him son, he's our precious son-in-law. It's the same. We'll sever our Dao first, and then help Xiao Shui sever her Dao. As for the rest, let fate take its course. The dead, the past, let it go with the wind. Whoosh. As Chen Hai and Han Mei's minds merged, Han Mei's body, which had been reincarnated, suddenly emitted bits of golden light, like dancing fireflies. In an instant, it turned into a rain of light that filled the sky. Vaguely, a tall and slender figure hugged a graceful figure, spiraling and dancing, and dissipating between heaven and earth. Boom. In the vast universe galaxy, in a palace that no one had set foot in for hundreds of years, a dazzling, mysterious, and extremely vast aura suddenly bloomed, enveloping a radius of millions of miles in an instant. The auspicious aura stretched for thousands of miles, and the auspicious light shone on the world. At this moment, the entire vast universe galaxy, and even the entire universe, looked at the void in horror. Dao severing. Someone from the human race is trying to sever their Dao. The ruler of the human race? Countless pairs of heavenly eyes crossed the void and locked in the direction of the vast universe galaxy. As soon as the aura of Dao severing appeared, an even more powerful, majestic, and vast aura followed. The first was the true body of Han Mei, which had been sealed for hundreds of years. The second was the current ruler of the vast universe galaxy, Chen Wuliang. Chen Hai was his pseudonym. When the two auras were increasing crazily, a middle-aged beautiful woman stared at the void excitedly. She was speechless. Sister, have you finally recovered? Then, as your younger sister, I can be free. There will be no more obstacles. Sister, hi, I'm coming. The middle-aged beautiful woman was none other than Chen Hao's mother, who had suffered all her life. But at this moment, she was like Han Mei in the primitive mystic realm, turning into little golden stars. Her reincarnated body dissipated, and another sealed palace at the core of the sacred palace opened, revealing her true body. 3 people. 3 people are Dao severing? The human race. Dao severing. 3 people? It's the Lord and the 2 mistresses. The Lord will definitely succeed. This day was destined to be a grand event in the entire vast universe galaxy, and it was destined to affect the hearts of the entire universe's 10 galaxies. Countless powerful figures woke up and looked in the direction of the vast universe galaxy. They activated all their minds and sensed the changes in the heavenly secrets. They were inexplicably nervous. The current ruler of the vast universe galaxy, Chen Wuliang, was an invincible supreme in the 10 galaxies. He was a legend in the 10 galaxies of the universe, a peerless genius. His talent was second only to the strongest genius in history, Yi Xian. The strongest force of the human race had always been the top existence in the 10 galaxies. Even if there were powerful figures of the tyrants who occupied the top in history, their identity originated from the human race. Chen Wuliang became famous at a young age and stepped on the peak all the way, and no one could compete with him. Invincible in the current generation was the consensus of the 10 galaxies. Everyone thought that he could Dao severing tens of thousands of years ago, but unexpectedly, Chen Wuliang was defeated by feelings. He was still unable to Dao severing. Chapter 856. Now, he had finally begun cutting Dao. Moreover, he was doing it with his 2 partners at the same time. Would he succeed? No one was sure. Billions of cultivators in the vast universe system, regardless of their faction, hoped that Chen Wuliang would succeed. He symbolized the highest combat power of the human race and was a deterrent to the other 9 galaxies. If he succeeded in cutting Dao, he would undoubtedly reach the peak and be able to deter the other 10 galaxies. If all 3 of them could succeed in cutting Dao, it would be even more terrifying. Tut! Chen Wuliang stood proudly between heaven and earth like a true immortal. Surrounded by celestial light, he pointed at Xue Mei, who had suddenly launched cutting Dao. Buzz! In an instant, a vast and mysterious voice of the great Dao appeared in Xue Mei's mind. What surprised her was that the voice was incomparably familiar. Tianci, this is my son. Tianci? It's Tianci. Mei, Tianci's growth is beyond our imagination. We must succeed. Tianci. Xue Mei, who had returned to her true form and ignited her aura, shuddered when she received Chen Wuliang's affirmative answer. Her eyes shone brightly. Even if reincarnation could greatly improve a cultivator's state of mind, they should be relaxed after jumping out of it. However, at this moment, the glittering in Xue Mei's eyes turned into 2 streams of warmth. Mother, I'm already 12 years old. I've grown up. I can surpass them. I'll definitely become a disciple of the Xiao family and become a warrior. Mother, I'll let you live a good life. I'll become a warrior. Mother, I'm back. Memories of the past appeared in Xue Mei's mind. Tianci, I haven't seen you for a long time. I miss you so much. I'll definitely succeed in cutting Dao. Sister, we'll all succeed. Sister, the 3 auras blended together in an instant. Boom. Immediately, the sky cracked and the void collapsed. The 3 of them broke through the void and stepped into the chaotic space. Cutting Dao was only possible for a peak master in the Grand Mist Supremacy realm. The fluctuations caused by cutting Dao were not something an ordinary star could withstand. If it was done in a great world, it would be absolutely destructive, let alone 3 people cutting Dao at the same time. Advancing bravely, retreating in order to advance, the world can broaden. The great Tao is merciless, but it doesn't mean that it's heartless and cold-blooded. Mercilessly, it slays one's inner demons. My chest accommodates the universe. Open my chest, and the heavens and earth will be at my disposal. Past, present, future, past life, present life, future life. The past me has become eternal and unchangeable. The current me is fighting against the heavens, cultivating against the heavens. The next life, the future me, what does that have to do with me? I want to reach the pinnacle and never be reincarnated. In this life, for me, for eternity. In the primitive secret territory, in the base, the Sanskrit chants of the Great Way resonated in the world. In the state where there was no sky, no earth, and no self, Chen Hao was in a trance. Only a strand of his consciousness seemed to have comprehended something from the abstruse scriptures of the general outline of the Great Way. All kinds of questions that he couldn't figure out and see through before bloomed continuously and flowed into his heart. As a result, Chen Hao's understanding of the primary outline of the Great Path deepened bit by bit. However, even Chen Hao himself didn't know that the primary outline of the Great Path was so abstruse and profound. It was an existence that gathered the essence of 3,000 great Taoists, but it couldn't really influence Chen Hao's obsession. Tao was still Tao, but it wasn't his Tao. Taoism's thoughts originated from the Buddhist sublimation of Taoism, but it couldn't influence Chen Hao. Buddhism, past, present, future, and karma of the 3 lifetimes. They valued fate. The past life and present life were the reincarnation of fate. Similarly, Buddhism valued the fate of the future even more, which was the afterlife. In the hearts of Buddhist cultivators, only by focusing on the future could they not be influenced by the gains and losses in front of them. Only then could they be at ease and at ease. The past was already like this. No matter how regretful one was, it couldn't be changed. The fate of the present and the future was in one's own hands. As long as one grasped every moment of the present, the future would definitely be bright. One shouldn't wallow in the sadness and hesitation of the past. Instead, one should actively face the present, grasp the present, and seek glory in the next life. However, Chen Hao cut off the afterlife and only sought the present life, the present life. There would never be an afterlife. The present life, is for me eternity. Proud Heaven, the others, and Humaingyang were all immersed in Chen Hao's great Tao Sanskrit chant. Each of them had comprehended something and gained something. Their bodies and souls had improved at an astonishing rate. But the improvement of their state of mind had far surpassed their imaginations. For a cultivator, once they reached a certain boundary, their state of mind would be the most difficult to improve and change. Transforming into mortal, samsara. These were methods that masters often used to enhance their state of mind. Without a corresponding state of mind, wanting to step into a higher boundary was nothing but wishful thinking. Vast universe galaxy, 3 days later. Countless planets, countless spaces, and countless cultivators suddenly trembled. It was as if the eyes of the heavens had swept over them. Whether it was their bodies or souls, they felt naked, without any privacy to speak of. Those with low cultivations didn't know what was happening. Daluo Jingxian, Supreme Hongmeng, and all of them excitedly flew up into the air, piously bowing towards the void. Success, there's only one, the immeasurable Supreme. Did his Tao companion not succeed? The masters of vast universe galaxy all frowned, faintly worried. Fortunately, Chen Wuliang succeeded alone, and the other 2 died. It's a good thing for us. They might not have died. Perhaps they deliberately restrained themselves? Although Chen Wuliang was wild and unruly when he was young, he has long become secretive and unfathomable. No matter what, we should give it a try. Once we bow down, we will lose our destiny. It will be extremely difficult to raise our heads again. I'll go first. Boom. 3 days ago, the masters of the other 9 galaxies had gathered together. The controllers and the peak masters of the Grand Mist Supremacy Realm, under the pressure of Chen Wuliang's Tao severing, had all begun their Tao severing. Even if it meant death at this point, they could no longer hesitate. Having a 30% chance of success was considered high. But the masters of each galaxy were prepared to sacrifice themselves. Since then, a new era had begun in the 10 galaxies because of Chen Wuliang and his Tao companion. The cultivators in the primitive mystic realm would not know about this at all. Not to mention in the primitive mystic realm, even in their respective galaxies, they were just ant-like existences compared to the higher-ups of their respective galaxies. Similarly, they would not know. It's been 500 years. Killing God Chen Hao, Humaingyang, and the core members of the Proud Heavens, none of them have shown up. Marichis of the Insect Clan, and Lu Qianye of the God Clan, who has returned to the throne, are the same. Could it be that they have all entered some mystic realm? I can't help it. The human race is too arrogant. During the 500 years that had passed, Chen Hao and the others had never appeared in public. As for the humans, because of Slaughter God Chen Hao, Proud Heaven, and Humaingyang, they didn't dare to do as they pleased. But at the very least, no one dared to clash with them. Chapter 857. No one dared to provoke the army formed by Ao Tian's outer members. Even the army of the outsiders was stronger. In such a situation, it was fine for 100, 200, 300 years. But now, it had been 500 years. Many outsiders could not take it anymore. Don't be rash. We still have a long way to go. This is just the primal mystic realm. Let them be arrogant. Otherwise, once Chen Hao and Proud Heaven's members come out, we won't be able to hide. Yes, the human race is strong. With God of Slaughter Chen Hao, leader Hu Mainyang, and Ao Tian's experts, even if they don't appear, we have to endure. No one in the primitive secret realm can compete with them. Ao Tian's base. At some point, Chen Hao had stopped chanting the Sanskrit words of the Great Tao. He had also disappeared from Pan Long's side. However, Chen Hao's Tao continued to resound in the cave abode for a long time. In the past 600 years, the entire mountain had become Chen Hao's Tao mark. Even after thousands of years of wind and rain, the Tao mark could not be erased. At most, it would be hidden in the rock. Once the conditions were met, it would be activated and integrated into the realm of understanding the Tao voice. Retreat in order to advance. Take a step back and you will see the world. Turning into a mortal reincarnation. It's actually retreat in order to advance. Like reviewing the past and learning the new? The Tao is simple. Perhaps this is the principle? In the mortal world, every little thing has the true meaning of the Tao. Whether one can understand it or not depends on the person. Chen Hao did not need to hide his aura. He had reached the realm of returning to the origin. Like an ordinary young man, he strolled in the base. His dark eyes were slightly bright, but there was no sign of a cultivator's strength. He walked and stopped, looking at the people who were in a deep state of understanding. There was a faint smile on his face. The same expression appeared on his face, but at this moment, it gave off a completely different feeling. There was no evil charm. It was natural, like a spring breeze. The general outline of the Great Tao is indeed worthy of containing the essence of the 3,000 Great Taos. Unfortunately, it's not my Tao in the end. Moreover, my realm is too far apart. After several hundred years, I've only comprehended a little more than 10%, not even 20%. Moreover, there's even rejection. What is suitable for others may not be suitable for oneself. What is right for them may be wrong for oneself. Right and wrong are never absolute, they are all relative. Different paths lead to different opinions. Different people have different opinions. Few, Chen Hao pondered as he traveled, his heart filled with many emotions. Master Yunwei has already arrived. Could it be that Master Han Mei hasn't come? Chi. Chen Hao flicked his finger, and the central AI of the base he built instantly activated the recording and simulation function. Immediately, a realistic image appeared in front of Chen Hao. Lan Feng, the sisters, and the others returned one after another. After Han Mei and Yunwei arrived, Han Mei left again. Later, Han Mei arrived with Hu Mainyang and Bailey Ningbing. What? When the image locked onto venerable immortal Han Mei and suddenly stared in his direction, she turned into little golden light spots and dissipated between heaven and earth. Chen Hao widened his eyes in shock. The simulated image was a complete reproduction of the original scene. Even the looming shadows of Chen Wuliang and Han Mei intertwined in the void were not missed. It was also because of this that Chen Hao was so shocked. Father, no wonder Master Han Mei changed so much. At this moment, Chen Hao understood why venerable immortal Han Mei seemed to have changed into a different person in the primitive secret realm. Originally, Chen Hao and Chen Shui guessed that venerable immortal Han Mei had awakened after turning into a mortal. But now, it seemed that both of them guessed wrong. Venerable immortal Han Mei was not turning into a mortal, but reincarnating. Similarly, it was not only awakening, but also the existence of his father's divine sense. This was the only way to explain why venerable immortal Han Mei would help Bailey Ningbing. This was completely a father and son pulling a daughter-in-law. Finally, he pulled Hu Mainyang over to comprehend his Sanskrit Great Tao. No matter what, his mother-in-law would not do such a thing, right? Obviously, this was all controlled by his father. And now, his mother-in-law had disintegrated into this life, dissipating between heaven and earth at the same time as his father's divine sense. Master, the old man and the others have probably cut their Tao. At this moment, old God's voice suddenly appeared in Chen Hao's mind. Cut their Tao. Yes, although my previous masters have not succeeded in cutting their Tao, I am familiar with this aura. Otherwise, Han Mei would not have disintegrated her reincarnated body, and the old man's divine sense would not have dissipated between heaven and earth. Cutting their Tao. If they succeeded, they would have transcended above the Grand Mist Supremacy realm and become true immortals. True immortals. What if they failed? Their bodies and souls would be destroyed. Master, you don't have to worry too much. If I'm not wrong, it should be your primary principle that allowed them to comprehend something. That's why they did this. They must have some confidence. Old God said. Chen Hao frowned slightly, then nodded. The primary principle was not a lost art, and it did not require any mantra to activate it. Perhaps no one present could comprehend much of his recitation, but his father and his mother-in-law, Han Mei, were different. One was a divine sense, and the other was an awakened reincarnated body. Their realms, even if Chen Hao thought with his but, were definitely at the peak of the Grand Mist Supremacy realm. How much could such true almighty beings comprehend? At least, it was definitely not something Chen Hao could compare with. Father and Han Mei Master are cutting their Tao. Mother, what about you? Chen Hao looked up at the infinite void and murmured. Although he now knew that his parents were not ordinary people, and that it was only a reincarnation, perhaps insignificant to them, when he thought of his mother, his heart would surge with warmth. No one could replace that feeling. Not even his father. During his difficult and poor childhood, his mother had sacrificed too much for him, his younger siblings, and his crippled father. Those were all real. So what if she was reincarnated? In Chen Hao's heart, she would always be his most beloved mother, the mother who supported a family and raised him. He would never forget the purpose of stepping into the cultivation world. Mother, if father let you down, father shouldn't be that kind of person. After all, in the reincarnation, father chose mother. Master Han Mei's problem should be solved. Chen Hao felt a headache coming on. The closest person to him was naturally his mother. But he knew how Han Mei Immortal treated him, and she was also his mother-in-law. It could only be said that his father was a little too frustrated in terms of relationships. Now Chen Hao thought so. If he knew the whole truth about his father, how would he feel? He would probably spit out a mouthful of blood. Chapter 858. Master, can you trigger the divine punishment now? Now, even the old god, who was immersed in Chen Hao's mind, couldn't sense Chen Hao's condition. However, he knew very well how many supreme-grade spirit springs, spiritual items, ancient spiritual herbs, and Emperor Chalcedony Chen Hao had refined in the past 500 years. With such a huge number, even an ordinary golden immortal would definitely be able to explode and die. It's still early. They probably won't wake up in less than 100 years. Old God, I'll give you some tasks. Start work. During this time, I'll seal my cultivation and train. Okay. Chen Hao combed through all the information collected by the Central Artificial Intelligence System. When he saw the news sent by Lan Feng, as well as the news that Hu Meinyang had killed Chu Feiyang, the #1 expert of the tyrants, a smile appeared on his face. He glanced at the dignified Hu Meinyang. At this moment, Hu Meinyang's aura was obviously much stronger than Chen Shui, Pan Long, and the others. Obviously, her understanding of the primary outline of the Great Tao was stronger. This was also within Chen Hao's expectations. Hu Meinyang had a connate Taoist embryo, and her state of mind and cultivation were stronger than Chen Shui and the others. It would be strange if she didn't understand as much as Chen Shui and the others. However, Chen Hao believed that Chen Shui, Helian Wuzi, and Long Ting's future achievements wouldn't be worse than Hu Meinyang's. The only thing they lacked was time. Beep. Beep. Congratulations on coming out of seclusion, Master. When Chen Hao stepped out of the cave abode in the base, Xiaoji #1 silently floated in front of Chen Hao and said in a more human-like voice, Xiaoji, you stay in the base. When they wake up, tell them that I'll be back in 100 years. If Huan Huan and Lei Lei want to find me, bring them. Yes, master. After giving the simple instructions, Chen Hao emitted a dense aura. His appearance and aura completely changed. Regardless of whether it was his physical strength, quintessential essence, soul energy, or the heavenly Tao laws, Chen Hao directly sealed himself to the moment when he had just stepped into the heavenly immortal stage. Turning into a mortal. Unless one's soul was about to be destroyed, the seal would automatically be unsealed. Otherwise, it would only be unsealed when one's cultivation reached a critical point. This was the true meaning of turning into a mortal. Retreat in order to advance. Chen Hao believed that the remaining time in the primal secret realm was enough for him to transform into a mortal. At that time, he would be one step closer to triggering the heavenly punishment of Daluo Jingxian. It's hard to go from weak to strong, and it's hard to go from strong to weak. Was I that weak before? Chen Hao sensed the power in his body. He felt extremely weak and uncomfortable. It seems like I still have to selflessness in order to get used to this feeling. Otherwise, I wouldn't be a true transcendent mortal. Since that's the case, let's seal it. Numerous complicated runes gushed out of his soul, and Chen Hao's memories related to his cultivation level, the usage of power, the heavenly Tao, and so on were all sealed up. Sure enough, after doing this, the extremely uncomfortable feeling in his body disappeared, and his mind and body became one. I'll sneak into the human army and gain some experience. At the same time, I'll take a look at the situation of the outer members of Proud Heaven. They should be doing well. 60 years passed in the blink of an eye. In these 60 years, Chen Hao did not rely on spiritual herbs, artifacts, or miniature aircrafts. It was as though he was a completely different person. Sometimes he would sneak into the human army. Other times he would travel on his own. Even after becoming a transcendent mortal, he could still keep a low profile and conceal his strength. He was no longer as sharp as before, and he did not deliberately kill the foreign races. Of course, this was also because he did not participate in any battles. Under the deterrence of Proud Heaven, no one in the human race dared to provoke him. With an ordinary appearance and performance, no one who had come into contact with the human army would have thought that this quiet young man was the most dazzling figure in the primitive secret realm, the god of slaughter Chen Hao. Kill them all. Kill! Boom boom boom, chi-chi-chi. Amidst the terrifying explosions, tens of thousands of people from both camps engaged in a frenzied battle. One side was the human race, which only had about 4,000 people, while the other side was the tyrant's army, which had more than 6,000 people. We discovered the golden sun crystal first. You are courting death by snatching it. Do you think that we, the god of slaughter Chen Hao, Humain Yang and Proud Heaven, do not exist? The leader of the human army said fearlessly despite being at a disadvantage. I've endured it for a long time. You humans are too arrogant. The primitive secret realm is an ownerless object. So what if you discovered it first? Fight for it with your own strength. Today I will kill all of you. So what if you are the god of slaughter Chen Hao, Humain Yang, and Proud Heaven? Who is the god of slaughter Chen Hao? He is just arrogant in the primitive secret realm. In the outside world, we have countless heavenly immortal realm geniuses. Compared to them, Chen Hao is nothing. He has not appeared for hundreds of years. Kill them all and get the golden sun crystal. As long as we hide, the primitive secret realm will end soon. Kill, kill, kill. The foreign race cultivators, who had escalated to a war between two armies, were completely unleashed. Since they had started, there was no turning back. Then they would kill to their heart's content. The foreign races had been holding back for hundreds of years. At this moment, for the precious golden sun crystal, they finally erupted. Bullshit. You die. All of you die for me. Rumble, roar, 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 roar. In the human race army, a young man who had never had any outstanding performance suddenly flew into the sky. He was so angry that his hair stood on end. He seemed to hate the cultivators who had insulted the god of slaughter Chen Hao to the core. He directly struck out with his palm. In an instant, the wind and clouds surged, and the divine beasts roared. Dragon roar, tiger roar, sparrow cry, tortoise roar, and Qilin roar. The majestic and terrifying divine beast's aura was like an erupting volcano. The galaxy collapsed, and flames covered the sky. It was as if the 5 divine beasts that the young man had struck out were even more furious than the young man. At this moment, both the human race army and the tyrant army cultivators were stunned. Their hair stood on end, and a chill ran down their spines. Those with weaker cultivation could not withstand such terrifying aura. They spat out blood and fell from the sky. Ah! Boom! The cultivator who had insulted the god of slaughter Chen Hao did not even have time to react or resist before he was torn into 5 pieces by the 5 divine beasts. His divine soul was also devoured by the 5 divine beasts. After the 5 divine beasts devoured the cultivator who had insulted Chen Hao, their shrunken bodies suddenly expanded infinitely. In an instant, they split up and charged toward the tyrant army. The young man was bare-handed, and his body bloomed with terrifying physical strength. He killed people like he was crushing watermelons with his fists. It was as if the god of slaughter Chen Hao had descended. Itoda. This young man was Itoda, who had merged with Guanu's body and led the 5 divine beasts to train on their own. Chapter 859. They became famous in one battle and killed almost all of them. 80% of the 6,000 tyrants died in the hands of Ito-Ta and the 5 mythical beasts. Only a few managed to escape. This was because the 5 mythical beasts had escaped before using the 5-element space seal. Otherwise, none of them would have been able to escape. The 5-element space seal was condensed by the 5 mythical beasts. Although it was not a real macro world, it was the foundation of any macro world. It was much stronger than the 4 wild dragons. In just a few days, the news of a super master appearing in the human race spread throughout the primitive mystic realm. His name was Itoda, and he had the inheritances of the 5 ancient mythological beasts. Moreover, he had already reconstructed his golden body and regained the might of the ancient mythological beasts. His ruthless nature of robbing and eating was even more ruthless than Chen Hao, the god of slaughter. All the slain tyrants' cultivators had become food for the 5 mythical beasts and were devoured clean. Ito-Ta collected all the fallen Dharma treasures and elixirs. That was the word, ruthless. Similarly, after this battle, the other members of the tyrant's mystic realm were grateful to him and pushed him to the throne of the leader. This guy, Chen Hao, was slightly surprised when he heard the news about Ito-Ta. It could be said that after entering the primitive mystic realm, Ito-Ta and the 5 mythical beasts had been training on their own. Chen Hao did not provide any help to them, but their improvement was not worse than Pan Long, Du Jing, and the rest. Even Chen Hao would not be able to achieve the same level of improvement as Ito-Ta and the 5 mythical beasts of the tyrant's mystic realm. They have kept a low profile for so many years, but when they are about to leave, they suddenly burst out and are so strong. Chen Hao shook his head. The 5 mythical beasts can use the 5-element space seal. After they become one with me, I might be able to use the macro world seal. This can definitely be one of my strongest trump cards. However, this guy almost killed an entire army. This is too high profile. The masters of the tyrants must take action. Let's go and take a look. Commander! When he thought up to here, Chen Hao's figure flashed, and he caught up to the leader of the small army and shouted, "Brother Li Yuan, what's the matter?" The head commander looked at this quiet yet powerful subordinate of his and asked. This ordinary-looking Li Yuan had only joined his army for 5 years. Although he usually didn't show his strength, his combat power was very strong at critical moments. He had played a very important role in several difficult conflicts between the armies, so he was very valued. Now, his army's prestige was extremely high and was not inferior to his. I want to go into seclusion for a period of time. I won't be following the army for the time being. Brother Li Yuan, this primal mystic realm will end in a few years. There are not many opportunities like this. Can't I go back and cultivate in seclusion? That's right, Brother Li. You're the main force of our legion. Without you, we'll be greatly affected. Brother Li, don't be like that. We've already gained quite a lot just by wandering around here. Although it can't be compared to the previous years, we won't have this kind of opportunity again after we leave. Why waste it on seclusion? I'm in the process of comprehending something. I'm afraid it won't be good to delay it for too long. I'm really sorry. Chen Hao heard the heartfelt words of the surrounding cultivators and felt a little warm in his heart. However, he still insisted. After cultivating for dozens of years as a transcendent mortal, Chen Hao had purposely suppressed his edges and corners. Not only did he retreat as a transcendent mortal, but he also chose to take a step back in terms of dealing with people. Otherwise, if it was the Chen Hao of the past, many people in the army would have vomited blood after being trampled by Chen Hao. But now, regardless of whether it was the commander or the stronger cultivators in the army, they all treated him as a brother. Brother Li Yuan, how long will you be in seclusion for? The commander asked. It's hard to say. I think it's like this. Now that the primal mystic realm is about to end, the conflicts between the 10 galaxies will become more intense. If you go into seclusion alone, you might meet with danger. Why don't we stop and rest for a year or so? Also, we'll split the loot 50-50, if you and I combine it together. I only hope that we'll be together for the rest of the time, the commander said as he looked at Chen Hao. When the others heard the commander's words, they were slightly taken aback. However, they soon understood. The strength that Li Yuan had displayed in the many conflicts was not inferior to their commanders. In fact, he was even more useful than their commander. Clearly, the commander had realized this as well. Commander, don't misunderstand. I've already gotten a very high ratio. I really want to go into seclusion. Furthermore, I'm not sure how long I'll be in seclusion. A year or so is definitely not enough. Perhaps it will end at the primal mystic realm. Everyone can't waste their time on me alone, Chen Hao said. All right, looks like you've made up your mind. Since that's the case, we'll meet again after we leave the primal mystic realm. At that time, we'll go to East Flow City to look for you. Don't hide from us. Isn't that simple? Brother Li Yuan, give us the number of the second realm. We'll meet up then. All right, my number is... Chen Hao hesitated for a moment before saying his number. Brother Li Yuan, the number isn't complete. Search for it. You'll be able to find me, Chen Hao said with a smile. Li Yuan, can I go with you? At this moment, a young girl suddenly plucked up her courage. Her face was slightly red as she looked at Chen Hao with bright eyes filled with anticipation. Sorry. Everyone goodbye. Chen Hao said without hesitation. After he finished speaking, he cupped his fists at everyone before transforming into a streak of light and disappearing into the void at lightning speed. So fast, he's indeed unfathomable. In front of us, perhaps he has never displayed his strongest strength. Sigh. Everyone stared at the void for a long time. Although they were shocked, they were not too surprised. The young girl who was rejected pursed her lips tightly, looking disappointed. All right, third sister. He's not even on the same level as us. It's already very good that he was able to follow us for 5 years. East Flow City? Brother Li Yuan probably doesn't know about our relationship with East Flow City. Yes, there's someone called Li Yuan. However, there's no one as young as him. He should be a disciple of a hidden sect. The East Flow City he told us about earlier should be fake. Otherwise, he wouldn't have given us an incomplete communication number. His name should be fake as well. Otherwise, with his strength, it's impossible for there to be no rumors about him. The speed at which he left and the communication number should be telling us some information. That's right. All right, since Brother Li Yuan told us that he hid his identity, that means we're brothers. I hope we'll meet again in the future. Let's go. Third sister, don't think about it. For someone like him, it's impossible for him to find a Dao partner in such a short time. Big brother, I know. I don't want to be his Dao partner. He saved my life. Third sister, he's saved many people. I understand. Chi. Beep beep beep. Master is flying at high speed. We'll be able to approach in 6 hours. Madam Huan, Lele, should we release our aura? Let's secretly. In the void, the flying device concealed all auras as it flew through the void. Inside the flying device, Leng Ninghuan and Leng Ninghuan looked at the simulated figure with excitement. Chapter 860. Big sister, do you think that Brother Hao will notice us? That's hard to say. When Brother Hao first came out, he was already slightly stronger than us. I wonder how much he has improved over the past 60 years. Why don't we follow him for a while longer? Since we've already found him, there's no need to rush. All right. Big Sister Shui and the others asked us to see if Brother Hao has found a few more sisters for us. Let's try hiding our identities then. The sisters were slightly excited in their hearts. After listening to Chen Hao's mantra of the Great Tao, they had entered a state of cultivation that was comparable to a state of enlightenment. This had raised the sisters' soul, physical body, and state of mind to an astounding degree. Even their origin aura had undergone a metamorphosis when they woke up. At this moment, Chen Hao, who was slightly weaker than them back then, might not be able to see through their disguises. To be able to sneak up on Chen Hao without revealing their true identities, this was a very exciting matter for the two sisters. Then let's split up for the time being. Little sister, you go first. I'll follow you after some time. Otherwise, we might attract Brother Hao's attention. All right, let's do that. Reporting. Amidst the mountains, outside a temporary army camp, a loud and clear voice sounded. A figure swiftly passed through the seal. What's the matter? On the mountain peak at the center, a cold and arrogant voice sounded out from a temporary palace condensed from the laws of divine ability. It seemed to contain a trace of truth. Commander, there are a few more cultivators who wish to join our god-slaying army. Didn't I tell you not to bother me with such trivial matters? The cold and arrogant voice bellowed furiously. Commander, there's a young lady among the newcomers. Her cultivation is extremely high, so we can't decide on her position. Oh? What does she look like? In the temporary palace, the young man who was pressing on a naked body heard the words of his subordinates, and his face suddenly eased. He lifted his spear out of the cave, waved his hand to cover the woman under him, and opened the palace's enchantment, and asked. The cultivator who came to report didn't hesitate. He immediately used his junqi to form the silhouette of the newcomer. Commander, she isn't too beautiful, but she possesses the primordial Yin body. How boring. You can arrange her as you wish. In the future, remember that as long as you have a primordial Yin body, no matter how good your cultivation is, you don't have to report it to me. Commander, what are you? I like beautiful women, but I've never harmed cabbages. Furthermore, it's all consensual, so there's no need to take responsibility. I understand. Commander's strength is just for fun. If I want to be your cultivation companion, I naturally have to be qualified. Cut the crap, don't bother me with this kind of thing in the future. All right, seeing his subordinate leave, the commander said unhappily, damn it, who doesn't like cabbages? But if Master finds out that I'm messing around, he'll definitely slap me to death. Playing with these little sluts who come to me on their own will definitely not be a problem. Girl, come out, let's continue. The commander, Itoda, waved his hand and unlocked the seal. The woman, who was interrupted in the middle of the battle, immediately rushed to Itoda, hungrily. She directly straddled the horse, pressed her beautiful buttocks, and went straight to the point. The commander's taste is really weird. He actually likes second-hand goods. Although this girl's purple color is ordinary, she's white, clean, and refreshing. Most importantly, her strength is not inferior to mine. Since the commander doesn't like her, I don't mind giving it a try. Now, I'm the second in command of the deicide. I'm admired by tens of thousands of people. The cultivator who just came to report was the commander of the original small army. Although he was now replaced by Itoda, he was not unhappy at all. On the contrary, being the second in command of the deicide army made him even more respected than before. When he stepped out of the commander's palace, a trace of imperceptible excitement appeared on his face. The white, clean, and refreshing girl had a great figure. The only shortcoming was that she lacked a beautiful face. Most importantly, the aura she exuded was very young, and it made him feel threatened. If it was before, he wouldn't even dare to think about such a girl. But now, he was the second in command of the deicide army, and many girls wanted to curry favor with him. After Itota's terrifying strength was exposed, in less than a month, the deicide army had increased from 5,000 people to nearly 10,000 people, and it was still increasing rapidly. There was no lack of experts who were stronger than him, but who asked him to be Itota's best friend. Under Itota's limelight, his status also rose. This feeling was very good. It was the best feeling in the world. He believed that the rise of this super dark horse, Itota, would not be much weaker than the deicide Xianxia. Now, the domineering name of the deicide army was definitely a stabilizing force for the human race. In the future, it would be possible for him to replace Aotian, who had disappeared for 600 years. If the deicide Xianxia, Humain Yang, and the core members of Aotian did not appear, then the number one expert of the human race, although not 100%, at least 99.9% was Itota. The few of you joining the deicide army is not a problem, but there is one thing that I, Gates, have to say in advance. For the time being, you can only be the lowest level soldiers. You must obey the leadership of our boss. Is there a problem? No problem. More than 10 human cultivators who had arrived one after another replied. All right, Gates, am the second in command of the deicide army. Introduce yourselves and I will record it. Little girl, let's start with you. Gates smiled and looked at the fair-skinned girl. There was a hint of passion in his eyes that was not obvious. My name is Mu Qing. I am very happy to join the deicide army, thank you. Mu Qing, good name. Your aura is not bad. If you follow me, Gates, I will treat you well. Cough cough. I mean, if you follow my boss, Itota, you will be able to dominate the world. Dominate the world? The name deicide is already arrogant enough, but the tone is even more arrogant. Damn it. Among the more than 10 human cultivators, an ordinary-looking young man cursed in his heart without any change in his expression. When the girl introduced herself, he casually glanced at her, but he did not deliberately sense anything. He only knew that this girl had concealed her aura, and her true strength was very strong. She was definitely a human expert, but as for how strong she was, he was too lazy to investigate. This young man was Xianxia. He, who had sealed his cultivation, had always kept within the limits of his abilities. Even his soul perception had been sealed a lot. I am Li Yuan. When it was Xianxia's turn, Xianxia calmly said, your aura is not bad. Gates rubbed his smooth chin and said with a hint of praise. Xianxia smiled faintly and didn't say anything. The girl who called herself Mu Qing, although she did not look at Xianxia, the corner of her mouth twitched slightly. She thought to herself, not bad. You really dare to describe yourself. Even your boss wouldn't dare to say that. Hee, looks like Brother Hao really didn't realize it was me. Chapter 861. We only have 3 days to rest. We'll set off in 3 days. The 14 of you, other than Mu Qing, form a team for the time being. Listen to my instructions. Understood? After everyone introduced themselves, Gates said seriously, Mu Qing, you'll follow me from now on. Leng Ninggle frowned slightly but didn't say anything. Anyone could tell that Gates was interested in Mu Qing, who had a great figure. For the time being, Li Yuan, you'll be the team leader. Brother Gates, Li Yuan's aura is strong, but it's just an aura, that's right. Since we're forming a new team, I think the team leader position should be a fair competition. 2 cultivators who had just joined said unhappily. At this time, since they dared to join the God-Slayer Legion, they were naturally fanatical fighters and definitely not weak. After all, everyone knew that the God-Slayer Commander Ito had almost annihilated a small army of the tyrants. The tyrants wouldn't let it go so easily. I said it's temporary, but since you're not convinced, let's have a competition. It doesn't matter. Let's have some fun too. I'm not interested in being a team leader. Just have a competition, Xianxia said with a smile. After that, he turned and flew to a nearby mountain. Brother Li Yuan, wait. Xianxia was slightly stunned. Why did this girl call him? Gates and the others also frowned slightly. Brother Li Yuan, I've seen you before. You were originally from the Astounding Thunder Legion, right? Nice to meet you. Hello. What's the matter? Chen Hao looked at Mu Qing, who was flying toward him, and said calmly. Although he was courteous, his expression carried a touch of coldness that kept people 1,000 miles away. In the past 60 years, even if he was a transcendent mortal, he had rejected countless women. It couldn't be helped. It wasn't a matter of being handsome or not. Although he kept a low profile, he was still one of the top experts. It was hard not to be attractive. It's fine. Let's be friends. Seeing Chen Hao's expression, Mu Qing revealed an even sweeter smile. She stared at Chen Hao with bright eyes and said. Chen Hao shook his head and turned to leave. Even though Zhang Xian didn't say anything to reject Zhang Xian, it was clear from his actions that Zhang Xian knew what was going on. Don't see. What Chen Hao didn't expect was that Mu Qing's figure flashed, and she actually, shamelessly, followed him. Her speed was much faster than Chen Hao's. In an instant, she came to Chen Hao's side again. What surprised Chen Hao even more was that Mu Qing directly held his arm. Her full breasts were pressed against his arm. Even though Chen Hao was not interested, he could still feel the charm and gentleness under the Taoist robe. Help me out. That Gates is clearly a pervert. I'm too embarrassed to say anything. Kli Wood sent mentally, forcibly restraining Chen Hao from struggling. Are we close? Chen Hao turned to look at the young lady who was sticking to him and frowned. Not now, but we'll get to know each other very soon. I'm not interested in women. Let go and do whatever you need to do. A surge of energy suddenly surged from Chen Hao's body, and he pushed Mu Qing's arm away before swiftly leaving. Leng Ninggle pursed her lips. She was secretly pleased with herself for playing a prank on Zhang Xian. She shamelessly followed behind Chen Hao, but this time, she didn't act as intimately as before. She simply followed behind him. This action left Chen Hao sighed. The heck, I'm already in such a state, but the ladies are still so passionate. What if I revert back to my original form? However, this was the first time Chen Hao had seen such a shameless young lady. Under normal circumstances, after a cold rejection, no one would continue pursuing him. However, this young lady didn't seem to care about face at all. Seeing Clem chase after Chen Hao, Gates cursed unhappily in his heart. But then he suddenly roared loudly, Li Yuan, did I say you could leave? I haven't arranged anything yet. Get back here. This guy felt very embarrassed. He had just said that he wanted to recruit Mu Qing under his wing. Only an idiot wouldn't be able to tell that he was interested in Mu Qing. However, although Mu Qing didn't reject him, she left with Li Yuan and even took the initiative to stick to him. Where could he put his face? He was the second in command of the God-slaying hall. Who knew how many fangirls had come to him? This girl is obviously looking down on my strength. I'll teach Li Yuan a lesson and she'll know how powerful I am. Gates thought. Brother Gates, there's no need to be like this. You've also seen that I'm not interested in women. Miss Mu is only using me as a shield. She's also not interested in me. If you like her, then continue to work hard. There's no need to vent your anger on me. My strength is far inferior to yours. What everyone did not expect was that Chen Hao actually said it openly and without the slightest bit of concealment. This time, Gates' face turned red, and he couldn't fly into a rage. Fuck, isn't this kid too direct? Leng Ninggle was depressed. My brother Hao. Although I like you a lot, aren't you a little too unreasonable? Is it because your disguise is too ugly? Leng Ninggle didn't know whether to be happy or angry. If she had known this would happen, she would have pretended to be prettier. She stomped her feet and was about to turn and leave. However, after thinking about it, she stubbornly didn't leave. Instead, she moved closer to Chen Hao and grabbed his arm again. Brother Chen Hao, I've liked you since the first time I saw your performance in the astounding Thunder Legion. Who's using you as a shield? I don't care. I'm here to follow you. Well, fuck. Gates was so depressed that he wanted to vomit blood. However, a smile appeared on his face. Fuck, this girl's words made him feel a little better. In fact, he was just excited to see her. Although it was a good thing to be able to obtain Mu Qing's primordial yin, he still had a basic sense of propriety. Otherwise, this second-in-command wouldn't be fit to be the leader. This girl is fierce. So fierce. Although she's not a peerless beauty, she's still a beauty. And she's very strong. If she's with me, I'll definitely serve her as the #1 cultivation partner. No, I'll serve her as the #1 cultivation partner. Tiskhe, she's so flirtatious. Her figure is super seductive. This kid called Li Yuan is really lucky. Ah, so it's a pair of enemies. Alright, I won't break you up. You're a team. Li Yuan, fuck you, such a delicate girl. Are you still a man? Her cultivation is much higher than yours. Gates took advantage of the situation and said loudly. Chen Hao was speechless as he stared at Mu Qing, who was holding his arm with absolute strength. Chapter 862. Mu Qing was the most valiant and thick-skinned suitor Chen Hao had ever met in his 60 years of life. If not for the fact that she was a virgin, Chen Hao would have treated her as a casual woman. I have a cultivation partner. Give up. Chen Hao said. It doesn't matter. Isn't it normal for a man to have several cultivation partners? Is that so? Then let me take a look at your true form. Why? You have no love in your current form. My current form is 100 times prettier. Will that do? It's useless to say that. That won't do. I can't restore myself now. My name, appearance, and aura are all fake. I know that you are fake as well. If you want me to restore myself, you have to restore yourself first. Can your skin be any thicker? No, I really like you. It's love at first sight. I don't remember you seeing me before. Hee, of course you don't remember. After I hide my aura, you won't be able to sense it. Leng Ningle said proudly. After experiencing the sound of the great Tao for hundreds of years, her transformation and improvement were astonishing. At this moment, she discovered that although the sealed Chen Hao was much stronger than her back then, he couldn't be compared to her current self in all aspects. Moreover, she was now certain that Chen Hao could not sense her origin aura. Therefore, she felt more and more at ease and found it more and more fun. Come. Let's start the competition. Brothers and sisters, place your bets. I'll be the banker. Gates could not be bothered with Mu Qing and Li Yuan. He let the remaining 12 people compete to determine the team leader. Other than the cultivators who were recovering, the rest of the god-slaying army gathered together to watch the show. I want to meditate, Chen Hao said coldly as he looked at Mu Qing, who was shamelessly following him. Sure, let's do it together. I'll help you condense the palace. Leng Ningli didn't seem to notice Chen Hao's intention to chase her away. She directly released her pure true yuan, condensing a powerful sealing palace, enveloping the two of them within. Her skin is 100 times thicker than little sister Ting's. Chen Hao exclaimed inwardly as he stared at Mu Qing, who was looking at him charmingly and intimately. Taking a closer look, although this girl wasn't very beautiful, her fair, clean, and refreshing face could be considered top-quality goods. Especially her figure, it was even more alluring. Furthermore, she had an innate charm that could not be concealed even by disguising her aura. To be able to emit such an aura while in disguise, her true strength should be even stronger. Furthermore, I can't detect her origin aura. That means she's at least a top-notch expert of the human race. When did the human race have such a young female expert? Chen Hao thought to himself. It seems that there are a lot of low-key people. No, there's no reason for such an expert to be so passionate about me. Could it be that he saw my aura when I left the astounding Thunder Legion? Chen Hao was puzzled. That can't be right. When I left, the speed I displayed was only at my peak state. It's still not comparable to this girl's. Chen Hao shook his head. He didn't understand. He could only attribute it to his own luck and luck in love. Chen Hao sat down cross-legged and stared at Mu Qing as he probed. I say, are you a disciple of a hidden sect of the human race? You too? This was the first time Ling Ninglu had the absolute advantage in front of Chen Hao. Her mind worked extremely quickly, and she pretended to be surprised. There's always someone better than you. With your talent and strength, you wouldn't be any weaker than the core members of the proud heavens. Why would you fall for me? My idol is the god of slaughter Chen Hao. However, he's a womanizer, and he's not from the same world as me. As for you, I fell in love with you the first time I saw you. This is called the legendary love at first sight. Do you believe it? Leng Ninglu suppressed the pride in her heart and deliberately teased him. Womanizer. Motherfucker. Chen Hao cursed in his heart. However, his mouth said, "What's the big deal about the god of slaughter, Chen Hao? I have countless Dao companions, and the number of women I've fucked can form an army. Do you believe in love at first sight? You're not my cup of tea, and I'm not your cup of tea either. Let me give you a word of advice. Don't pester me. I'm the kind of person who doesn't recognize anyone after putting on his pants. If you're that kind of person, why would you tell me? Shouldn't you first do that to me first before saying anything? Of course, although I like you, I can't give it to you before you reveal your true identity." Chen Hao was completely convinced. Without hesitation, he closed his eyes and waved his hand to form seals around himself. Then, he entered a state of cultivation. Leng Ninglu pursed her lips smugly. She thought to herself, "Looks like I have to disguise myself more beautifully. Brother Hao might not be interested in me. It won't work, Chi." Immediately, Leng Ninglu also formed seals around herself. However, she did not enter a state of cultivation. Instead, she crushed a communication talisman that Chen Hao had made for her and sent it away with her powerful mental strength. Only then did she enter a state of cultivation. Leng Ninghuan, who was hundreds of thousands of miles away, smiled when she received the message. "Wow, a beauty! A super beauty! Oh my god, my cock is moving. Beauty, are you going to join the God-slaying legion?" 3 days later, when the God-slaying legion was about to set off again, more than 10 human cultivators rushed over. When the cultivators of the God-slaying legion saw a beautiful figure among them, countless young cultivators instantly turned into perverts. Beautiful. She was too beautiful. She had a perfect body, a beautiful face, and a powerful aura. Although everyone could tell that she was in disguise, they were all moved by her beauty and temperament. Such a person's real body would definitely not be weak. Moreover, everyone knew that when a woman disguised herself, she would usually disguise her aura and appearance. For a woman who loved beauty, she would rarely disguise herself. A super beauty with a primordial Yin body. That's my goddess. Gates muttered when he saw her. Even Ito Ta, who had already come out of seclusion and was preparing to lead his team, was shocked. Fuck off. To everyone's surprise, the moment Gates revealed his perverted appearance and blurted out those words, Ito Ta, who had never been interested in women with a primordial Yin body, slapped him to the side. What surprised everyone was that Ito Ta's figure turned into a ray of light. When he reappeared, he was in front of the beautiful woman and cupped his fists. "Mistress Huan Huan, keep quiet." Leng Ninghuan was shocked. Fortunately, Ito Ta had sent her a voice transmission before he came over. Fortunately, Leng Ninghuan reacted quickly. Otherwise, Ito Ta would not have just cupped his fists. Leng Ninghuan hurriedly cupped her fists and said softly, "I want to join the Godslayer Legion. Is that okay?" "Yes, my name is Li Wan. Nice to meet you. Are you Brother Ito?" "Mistress, don't call me that. I think the position of commander is, don't talk nonsense. How can you be like this? I am hiding my identity. Pretend that we don't know each other." Leng Ninghuan hurriedly sent a voice transmission. She did not expect Ito Ta to be so powerful that he could see through her disguise in an instant. "Mistress Huan Huan, where is Master? You are in my army. How would I dare?" Ito Ta replied with his mouth while sending a voice transmission. He did not reveal any flaws. "Don't worry about it. Lele is here too. Why didn't you notice?" "Ah, Mistress Leo, don't try to sense it. Brother Hao is here too. He turned into a mortal and sealed part of his cultivation and divine ability. We are just playing with him. Just pretend that you don't know." Leng Ninghuan, who was disguised as Li Wan, said. Cough. Ito Ta's expression became extremely awkward. He wanted to use his consciousness to check on Leng Ninghuan, but he stopped himself. His heart was in a mess, trembling with fear and apprehension. Damn, when did Master come? Does he know that I am messing around with other women? That's bad. Sister One, we meet again. At this moment, Leng Ning suddenly appeared beside Li Yuan, with a trace of excitement. She smiled sweetly and said very intimately, "Little Qing, you are here too. Just 2 days ago." Sister Wan, do you remember Li Yuan whom I told you about? Come, let me introduce you to him. Okay. Leng Ninghuan smiled. Then she looked at Ito Ta and said, "Brother Ito, can I be in the same group as little Qing?" "Of course. Miss Li, you can do whatever you want." Brother Ito is going to take action. Only Brother Ito is willing to take charge of this level. I have no chance. Gates looked at Li Yuan's beautiful figure and then looked at Ito Taichi's nervous and submissive appearance. He felt depressed in his heart. Who is this Li Yuan's real identity? This is too awesome. Look, the beauty seems to be interested in him. Fuck, flowers are stuck in cow dung. I am better than this Li Yuan, right? Countless people were envious and jealous. Chen Hao looked at the beautiful Li Yuan heir. Her bright eyes seemed to be full of interest as she stared at him. She was leisurely walking towards him. Chen Hao slightly frowned and thought, "What's wrong? Why do I feel strange? Could it be that my luck with women is surging again?" "Hello, it's nice to meet you." Leng Ninghuan and Mu Qing walked over hand in hand and looked at Chen Hao with interest. At this time, Ito Ta looked at the new member Li Yuan nervously. Even if he used his toes to think, he knew who this person was. Is she beautiful? Sister War is my good sister, a very good sister. Leng Ninghuan smiled happily in her heart. After making sure that Chen Hao couldn't sense their origin energy, she became unscrupulous. Chapter 863. Chen Hao glanced at Li Yuan and Mu Qing, then shook his head slightly and said, "What's your purpose for approaching me?" Chen Hao could reluctantly believe that Mu Qing, who was passionate and pestering him, was the work of his good luck with women. But now there was Li Yuan, who was passionate about him just by looking at her eyes, which made Chen Hao feel very strange. "Brother Li, what you said is too hurtful." Leng Ning curled her lips and said as if she had been wronged. "Yes," Leng Ninghuan echoed. Leng Ninghuan's expression was a little unnatural. Although she and Leng Ning had a tacit understanding of each other, she couldn't act coquettishly like Leng Ning could. One who is unaccountably solicitous must be hiding evil intentions. Chen Hao thought to himself. Without saying anything more, he continued his journey. But everyone could see that this cow dung didn't seem to be willing to let these two beautiful flowers stay with him. Mu Qing, who had a seductive figure, was not a stunning beauty. But what about Li Yuan? Whether it was her appearance or her figure, she was absolutely a rare beauty. Was this guy still a man? "Brother, do you want to expel Li Yuan from our god-slaying team? He is not pleasing to the eye." "Shut your damn mouth." "Brother E, I see that only a talented girl like Li Yuan can make bang." "Ah, damn it, if you don't want to die, shut up. Get out." Itota's cold voice resounded in Gates's mind, which made him dumbfounded. What the fuck is going on? Looking at Big Brother's intentions, he is obviously obeying Li Yuan's every order. He is kneeling under her skirt. Isn't my suggestion very good? The two of them were talking telepathically, but Itota's kick that sent Gates flying was obvious to all. However, in the eyes of the others, it seemed that Itota didn't hide anything from Gates at the beginning. Therefore, most people, especially the original members of the God-slaying team who had seen Itota's horrible combat capability, thought that Li Yuan would be killed sooner or later. Report. Speak. Leader, the God-Slayer Legion has exceeded the 10,000 mark. The newly joined human cultivators were all very strong. There's also a stunning beauty of the human race. Stunning beauty? Yes. According to the information sent back, the aura of this stunning beauty was also very strong. She was definitely among the ranks of the human race. It's just that it has never appeared before. It's disguised. This is a bit strange. How do you know? Leader, for a woman like her, even if her aura is ordinary, she wouldn't be unknown, let alone strong. What do you think, Qi? The cultivator who reported the news directly used his vital essence to form a beautiful figure. Not bad. She's so beautiful that she's almost comparable to the Tao companions of God of Slaughter Qianhao. However, since she was faking her aura, it was not surprising that her real body was not as beautiful. Are there any other anomalies? No. It's been 3 months, and Proud Heaven's core members still haven't shown up, even though the humans know we're going to attack them. God of Slaughter Qianhao, Humain Yang, and Proud Heaven's core members have disappeared for almost 600 years. They probably won't show up. Leader, it's time for us to show our prowess to the world. After a few big fights, we'll go into hiding. Nothing will happen to us. No one has ever dared to provoke the tyrants, but this time, we've been suppressed by the humans. If we don't vent our anger, we'll be laughed at when we step out of the primitive mystic realm. Yes. For 600 years, we didn't dare to attack them just to deter them. That's too cowardly. Leader, make a decision. We're looking forward to a big fight. The new leader of the tyrants, Shiwa Xingnan, who used to be second only to Chu Feiyang, slowly swept his gaze across the tyrants present. After pausing for half a minute, his face shone with a fierce light, and he said, "Then let's fight." The general trend was irresistible. At this moment, although he still had all kinds of scruples, if he didn't fight, he was afraid that these experts under him would rise up in revolt. This was something he didn't want to see. No one knew better than him how terrifying God of Slaughter Qianhao, Humain Yang, and the core members of Proud Heaven were. Because only he knew the true strength of the tyrant's top expert, Chu Feiyang. But Chu Feiyang died in the hands of Humain Yang without even causing a ripple. How strong was God of Slaughter Qianhao? How strong were the core members of Proud Heaven? After disappearing for almost 600 years, he didn't think that these people had died. He was 100% sure that they had entered a deep level of seclusion. In this primitive mystic realm, which was full of opportunities, they chose to enter a deep level of seclusion. What did that mean? No one was stupid. God of Slaughter Qianhao, Humain Yang, and the rest were definitely smart people. Since they chose to enter a deep level of seclusion, they must have weighed the pros and cons. In other words, as long as they appeared, their strength would definitely be much stronger than it was 600 years ago. At that time, no matter how big the world was, it would be difficult to escape the pursuit of God of Slaughter Qianhao and the core members of Proud Heaven. They had powerful miniature flying devices. This was also the reason why Shiwa Xingnan was unwilling to make a move. But now, if he didn't make a move, he would incur the wrath of the people, continue to control the few cultivators of the human race. Let their Tao companions make a move on Itoda. Also, after one of them succeeds, let the other women make a move on the other experts of the deicide army. This can weaken the strongest few of them, and also reduce our casualties. Shiwa Xingnan frowned and gave the order. When he led the army to deal with the deicide army, he had already used thunderous methods to destroy a small army of the human race. He had also captured a few Tao companions and controlled them. Several beautiful female cultivators had become his sole slaves for the sake of their Tao companions' lives. They had also infiltrated the deicide army. The expert who came to report directly turned into a stream of light and flew away. This was a human expert. He had also become Shiwa Xingnan's sole slave. And his women were still under Shiwa Xingnan's control. In the face of the righteousness of the human race, how many people could be more important than the lives of themselves and their Tao companions? Very few, almost none. It was easy to die in battle, but under the threat of being tortured and unable to die, it was very difficult for people to do so. This was especially so after becoming a sole slave. No one knew that when the human cultivator left, in the void tens of thousands of miles away, an aircraft that had concealed all auras and was quietly floating in the void disappeared in a flash. In the flying device. This Shiwa Xingnan is really careful and despicable. Should we make a move? Of course we should. Huan and Lei are having fun. If we don't make a move with Hao's current strength, he will definitely be in danger. It will be boring once he becomes immortal, Qin Shui said. Indeed, it's boring to make a move now. Little Shui, why don't we go and have some fun as well? I don't care whether you all go or not, I'm going. After Long Ting finished speaking, she directly turned into a stream of light and flew out of the aircraft without any organization or discipline, leaving at lightning speed. The other women looked at her with disdain, but they didn't stop her. Everyone knew that the reason Chen Hao turned into a mortal was because of the sisters who had exhausted their potential. Long Ting's skin was really thick to the point of being indescribably thick. Chapter 864. Xiao Ting, pass a message to Itoda, don't expose yourself. I won't disturb them. I'm just taking a look, huh? Chen Shui said telepathically before Long Ting disappeared. Sister Shui, what should we do? Helian Wuzi frowned and asked. It's been 600 years, I don't know how the outer members of Proud Heaven are doing. Let Du Jing try to summon them. We'll observe the situation first. Otherwise, we'll be discovered by Hao. Since he transformed into a mortal for Huan Lele, we'd better not disturb him. Okay. After a while, the aircraft sent the message back to the base and sent it directly to Du Jing, who was in high spirits. If you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. Du Jing cursed angrily after seeing the content of the message. Immediately, he began to search for the outer members of Proud Heaven through the powerful detection ability and terrifying speed of the aircraft. At the same time, Du Jing informed Coiled Dragon, who didn't care much about Proud Heaven, and Lan Feng, the son of destiny. Itoda, the 5 divine beasts. In just a few hundred years, such a master emerged from the human race? Killing an entire army. That's ruthless. Shiwa Xingnan of the Tyrants will definitely take action. Since I'm back, I can't ignore it. Chen Shui and the others didn't expect that Hu Meinyang, who woke up from the great path of Sanskrit and left by herself, would also take action after receiving the news from Itoda. However, Hu Meinyang didn't know that Itoda and the 5 divine beasts were Chen Hao's people. Similarly, Bailey Ningbing, who left by herself, was thoughtful after receiving the news. Although she wasn't sure if Itoda and the 5 divine beasts were related to Chen Hao, she had a vague feeling that this would evolve into a confrontation with the tyrants. Maybe he and the others will go, Chi. I'll go and take a look too. Fuck, they actually want to set me up? I was wondering why women are so open nowadays. They know that I'm just playing around and they don't care about their reputation. So they've already been subdued. Damn it. Not long after, an ordinary-looking young girl with a relatively powerful aura joined the god-slaying team. Itoda felt that it was fun and sympathized with his master who was being played. At the same time, he also learned about the despicable actions of the tyrants against him and Slayer. I'll beat you at your own game. Itoda's eyes flashed with a red light, and he said gloomily. Not long after, they came to a mountain range with rich heaven and earth energy, and Itoda directly ordered them to rest. After condensing the restriction palace, Ito Ta summoned Gates and several other experts to the palace. Before long, several women who had an affair with Ito Ta were also summoned. Although these women knew that Itoda had no feelings for them, they didn't expect him to do this. They were more or less unhappy. However, it had to be said that this actually made things easier for them. But what they didn't expect was that when these seemingly drunk guys were hugging them and bragging, they suddenly made a move at the same time and directly imprisoned them. If you don't want to die, tell me honestly. This is your only chance to live. Brother Itoda, what are you talking about? Why are you doing this to us? Fuck. You've become Shiwa Xingnan's soul slaves, right? Don't worry, I know you were forced to do this. And your Taoist companions. If nothing unexpected happens, someone will save them. Tell me honestly, what are you going to do to me? I'll think of a way. How could you know? How could you save us? We're already soul slaves. Hearing Itoda's words, the women's faces turned pale. They looked lonely, and tears streamed down their faces. If they had a choice, why would they become someone else's puppet? Why would they sacrifice their own bodies? Since these Taoist companions were chosen, they were naturally very close to each other. But now, Itoda had benefited. Now, the cultivators who were weaker than Itoda would benefit from it. But in order to survive, they had no choice. It was better to live than to die. When Ao Tian makes a move, there's no one he can't save. Ito Taichi's words made all the women and the masters who only knew that they wanted to control the women, but didn't know why, all of them revealed a look of shock. Tell me. Itoda didn't explain. Instead, he ordered strongly and confidently. Okay, we'll tell you. When the women told them what Shuaxingnan was going to do to them, Ito Taka and the several experts present were all frightened to death. Fortunately, they received the news, otherwise, even Ito Taka would not be able to resist. Dao melting powder. It was colorless, odorless, invisible, and formless. With the help of the fusion of yin and yang, no one could feel it for 49 days, let alone feel any discomfort. However, after 49 days, once the cultivator meditated and adjusted his breath, he would enter a state hundreds or thousands of times stronger than an epiphany. He would feel as if he had merged with thousands of Dao. The Dao was him and he was Dao. He would die unknowingly. It wasn't poison, but it was the most evil thing in the world. It was very rare. Send a message back and say that you have succeeded. Brother Itoda, Ao Tian has appeared? Do you want to help us? Otherwise, how do you think I got the news? To tell you the truth, Ao Tian's core members have not only hidden in our army, but also have their eyes on Shiwa Xingnan. Their every move is under Ao Tian's surveillance. As long as you do as I say, you and your partners will be saved. Leave the Dao melting powder to me and send a message. Yes. Matriarch Long Ting. After doing all this, Ito Ta ordered everyone to leave, and then he directly knelt down in his palace and said respectfully, I know. Itoda, is there anything delicious? A little. Itoda's face suddenly changed. Then why don't you give it to me? I helped you so much, you won't be so stingy. No. Please accept it. This is my filial piety. Even his master couldn't do anything to Long Ting. Itoda knew his limits. Although he was reluctant, he still offered at least half of the countless spirit fruits, spirit herbs, and sun golden crystals that he had obtained. Chapter 865. That's more like it. By the way, don't tell brother how. No, I won't. Long Ting put it away and left directly. As the mistress, she shouldn't treat her subordinates like this, but Itoda used Guanu's real body, which she hated the most. Long Ting wanted to beat him up. Just ordering food was already very, very polite. This means that they won't take action until 49 days later. It was a little rushed at first, but now it's not a problem. In the void, in the aircraft, Chen Shui and the other women received the news from Long Ting. When they learned that Shiwa Xingnan used the Dao melting powder, they were shocked. It's not a problem to kill them, but it might be a little difficult to save our human couples, yes. They have all become Shiwa Xingnan's sole slaves. If Shiwa Xingnan dies, they will also collapse. Unless we control Shiwa Xingnan. Yes. We can't do it. Only Hao and Hu Mainyang may be able to. Chen Shui frowned slightly. With Hu Mainyang's current strength, it shouldn't be a problem to use the Red Dust Heart Sutra to control Shiwa Xingnan. She should come. No need for her, sister-in-law, I should be able to do it. At that time I'll do it. At this time, Chen Ling suddenly said with confidence, my Yin soul has been cultivated to the peak. When the battle starts, I'll find an opportunity to enter his soul palace and control him. It shouldn't be difficult. Is that so? Since Ling can do it, that's for the best. It also saves us from cooperating with that woman. It's a success, very good. Prepare for the battle with all your strength. 49 days later, it will be time for us to take action. In addition, you guys immediately set off and pass on my verbal order to gather all the top masters of the tyrants here secretly. Leader, is it necessary? We already have an army of 100,000. Even if Itoda and the other masters are not affected, we have no problem killing them. It's better to be safe than sorry. Although Qin Hao, Hu Mainyang, and the others haven't appeared for nearly 600 years, what if they appear? Even if they don't show up, the human experts are still gathering. As you can see, it has only been a month, but they have already grown to more than 10,000 people. Moreover, those who dare to join at this time are definitely human experts who like to fight. After 49 days, there will definitely be more. Then why don't we just kill them now? Even if Itoda can escape after 49 days, he will automatically become Dao. There's no point in doing that. Since we're going to do it, let's do it big. The more experts they have, the more benefits we'll reap. Don't forget that the human race had run amok for 600 years because of Chen Hao. During these 600 years, the human race had obtained the most treasures, especially the human experts. Leader, of course I know that. However, if all of them are human experts and we take them all down, I'm afraid it will turn into a galactic war. That would be terrible. We are afraid, but they are even more afraid. Don't worry, it won't turn into a galactic war. The overall strength of the human race can't compare to ours at all. It's just a deterrent with the highest combat power. Alright. In the palace where the tyrants were temporarily stationed, Shiwa Xingnan and several top experts of the tyrants confidently decided on the battle in 49 days. In the following month, the experts of the tyrants, who had long been prepared, hid their auras and joined Shiwa Xingnan's army. Every 2 days, his soul slaves would report on the new cultivators of the Godslayer army. Everything was under Shiwa Xingnan's control. In any case, he didn't expect that his soul slaves would dare to defy him. Swish, swish, swish. At the same time, Hu Mainyang, the leader of the human race, also quietly arrived with some of the top experts of the human race. Bailey Ningbing, who traveled alone, directly blended into the Godslayer army. When Bailey Ningbing's divine consciousness quietly scanned the Godslayer army, she frowned slightly at the 3 disguised auras. Although she didn't dare to forcefully probe and didn't obtain the aura of the origin, she concluded that they were from the women of proud heaven. In addition to the battle between the human race and the tyrants, some experts of the alien race who had long predicted that there would be a battle between the Godslayer army and the tyrants also quietly arrived. They waited from afar, ready to watch the upcoming battle. Today, nearly 600 years later, because of Itoda's cruel and crazy hunting, there was once again an uproar that was second only to the Emperor Jade Marrow battle. The experts of the alien race who came to watch the show all had the same thought. Would the Godslayer Chen Hao, the leader Hu Mainyang, and the core members of Proud Heaven, who had disappeared for nearly 600 years, appear? If they appeared, they would naturally just watch the show and do what they were supposed to do afterward. If they didn't appear, the suffocation of being suppressed by the human race for so many years would definitely erupt in the next few days. Everyone knew that if Proud Heaven didn't appear in such a huge conflict, it was likely that he wouldn't appear before the end of the primitive secret realm. What was there to fear? Hey, Brother Li Yuan, other than cultivating, all you do is cultivate. Can't you be a little more interesting? Or is there something wrong with your sexual orientation? Aren't you annoying? What do you want? Also, don't call me that so intimately. I have nothing to do with you. In the restrictive shield, Chen Hao glared at Mu Qing, who had woken him up again, and Li Wan, who was smiling and looking at him beside Mu Qing, and said angrily. Chen Hao realized that the hidden power of these 2 girls was extremely terrifying. It was impossible to get rid of them with absolute strength. It would also be inappropriate to fight with them. Chen Hao couldn't do anything to them, and he was very unhappy. Don't I like you? It's love at first sight, and it's a 1 get 1 free. Little Qing, don't talk nonsense. I didn't fall in love at first sight. Feelings have to be cultivated. Hee, Sister One, don't pretend. If you don't like him, why don't you cultivate on your own? Why do you keep following me and him? I didn't invite you. Leng Ning Huan blushed when she heard Leng Ning Li's words. She wanted to say something, but she held herself back. Her younger sister was really something. Moreover, her skin was even thicker than Long Ting's. Naturally, she knew that her younger sister knew that Chen Hao did not recognize them, and she was playing with them. However, she could not do it. After all, he would eventually find out. At that time, Brother Hao would definitely trample on them. Chen Hao took a deep breath and suppressed the urge to punish Mu Qing and Li Wan on the spot. In the past 60 years after he transformed into a mortal, Chen Hao had been faced with the bold confessions of many female cultivators. It would be impossible for him to not feel anything. He was not Lu Sha. Even if he did not have feelings, he would still need to vent, right? However, he could easily get rid of them in the past. Now, Mu Qing and Li Wanyu, these two women with high cultivation bases, were shameless enough to leave him with no choice. Moreover, Chen Hao felt that their behavior was a little strange. He could not figure it out. He did not think that it was because of the girls. Because when he left, he felt that it would take at least 100 years for everyone to wake up from the great Tao Sanskrit chant. What he didn't know was that because of his departure, his Tao mark energy was dissipating much faster than he had imagined. More importantly, when Hu Meinyang, Chen Shui, Long Ting, and Helian Wu Zi were the first to wake up, they directly absorbed more energy, causing their Tao marks to dissipate in half the time, allowing everyone to wake up from their cultivation ahead of time. What kind of person do you think I am? Let me tell you clearly, I am not a disciple of some hidden sect. Moreover, you saw it too. Although I disguised my aura, my true strength is not as good as yours. If you get the wrong person, your true Mr. Right will be very sad. Chen Hao said after thinking for a while. How can that be? The person I like is you, love at first sight. Love has nothing to do with strength. Sister Xiaoqing is right. Love is love. It is fated. What is the difference between a mortal and a true immortal? Sister One Air, you finally spoke the truth. We hit it off at first sight. So we are destined to be good sisters. Tisk tsk tsk? Chen Hao was completely speechless by their words. Although he agreed with their point of view, they still needed to be willing. Was he such a casual person? If he was in his true form, he would accept them. But now that he was in his transcendent mortal state, it was a little unreasonable for him to accept two sisters. This was definitely not something he could do. There were things he could do and things he could not do. From the start, Chen Hao had always adhered to a philosophy in his bones. That was he could love everyone, he could be romantic, but he had to be responsible. Just like when he met Dan Fan of the Fan family before coming to the primitive mystic realm. Although they got together and obtained her body out of pity, not love, he would still be responsible. What a joke. You don't even know who your true form is. What love is there? Please, don't bother me anymore. Chen Hao said coldly. After saying that, he closed his eyes again. At the same time, Chen Hao's aura started to weaken at an alarming rate. Left with no choice, Chen Hao had to change his method. He had to use his secret art to get rid of the two of them. Sensing that Chen Hao's aura was weakening, Ling Ninglu and Ling Ninghuan were shocked. They knew Chen Hao very well. Although Chen Hao had changed his method slightly, the two of them could guess that Chen Hao was going to use his carving technique to merge with the world. Brother Li Yuan, what are you doing? To Chen Hao's surprise, Mu Qing and Li Wan Air actually made a move at the same time and formed two powerful seals around him. Chapter 866. If the two of them worked together to form the seal, it meant that even if Chen Hao merged with the world, he would still have to pass through their seal. It was impossible for him to leave quietly. No. Do they know that I'm going to leave? Chen Hao frowned. Also, since I met Mu Qing, they have been using their absolute strength to keep me occupied. They have never used any divine skills. That's strange. Originally, Chen Hao did not care about this problem. However, now that the two women seemed to have foreseen the future and prevented him from merging with the world, Chen Hao had to think about it seriously. Being restrained in every way. That's impossible. Moreover, they have not used any divine skills. It's impossible that they don't know how to do it. That means they are doing it deliberately. Are they afraid that I will sense something? Could it be buzz? Thinking of this, Chen Hao's eyes suddenly emitted a dazzling seven-colored light as he looked straight at Mu Qing. Layers of illusions from the Red Dust Heart Sutra gushed out. Mu Qing opened her small mouth and forcefully severed the connection between Chen Hao and her mind, which was like an endless whirlpool that wanted to devour her mind. She directly turned her head and avoided Chen Hao's gaze. Chen Hao was surprised and suddenly turned to Li Wan. Li Wan was even more direct. When Chen Hao's eyes were shining, she closed her eyes. Fuck. At this moment, Chen Hao was 100% sure that the two women were very familiar with him. They knew what he was going to do when he stuck out his butt. Otherwise, how could they react so quickly? Big brother Li Yuan, if you stare at me like that, I'll feel shy. Leng Ning calmed the panic in her heart. Even though she could still feel the boundless temptation of the Red Dust Heart Sutra, she still relied on her strong willpower to conceal her feelings. Chen Hao's eyes wandered unscrupulously over the two women. The seven-colored light in his eyes had been replaced by a faint golden light. He did not say a word. The two women were afraid that Chen Hao's Red Dust Heart Sutra would lead them to expose themselves, so they did not dare to look at Chen Hao. Such a strange situation made the two women a little nervous. Especially when they saw that Chen Hao didn't say a word, it made them even more worried. Could it be that he had guessed it? It seemed that Chen Hao's sudden use of the carving technique Heart Sutra and the secular Heart Sutra had caused him to overreact. But so what? If they didn't do this, they would either let Chen Hao run away, which was not what they wanted. If they fell into the Red Dust Heart Sutra, they would be exposed directly. They knew very well that Chen Hao knew all the divine ability laws and ultimate techniques that they had mastered. If there was even the slightest clue, he would definitely be exposed. So, why did you seal me? The moment the golden light in Chen Hao's eyes disappeared, an undetectable evil charm appeared in the depths of his dark eyes. Damn it, these two girls actually dared to tease this brother. At this time, Chen Hao had used an evil divine ability that he normally wouldn't use. What else could he not see? Regardless of whether he could see through their essence, the two women's bodies no longer had any secrets in front of him. Some of the details that Chen Hao had already grasped were naturally clear to him. No matter how good their disguises were, they wouldn't be able to cover every inch of their skin. Although Chen Hao was surprised that the two girls came so early, he didn't point it out. If you want to play, this brother will play with you. We're afraid that you'll run away. Can't you see that I'm restraining my aura? Why would I run away? Forget it, I admit defeat. Hurry up and release it. Then you can't run away. Leng Ning Lu and Leng Ning Huan looked at each other and secretly rejoiced. At the same time, they released the seal around Chen Hao. Leng Ning Lu even took the initiative to sit next to Chen Hao and intimately held his arm. Her full breasts were still pressed against Chen Hao's arm without restraint. The intention of teasing was obvious. I've already told you, don't seduce me. I have a Dao companion. And he's loyal to me. No matter how much you try to seduce me, it's useless. But I have to make it clear, this brother is not Lu Xiaohui. If I do something wrong, I will not take responsibility. You're playing with fire. Chen Hao said sternly. I like people like you. Brother Li Yuan, you're really loyal. Leng Ning Li's eyes were full of stars as she turned to look at Chen Hao and hugged him even tighter. Can you tell us who your Dao companion is? What's his name? Leng Ning Huan also came over and asked tentatively. Even if I tell you, you won't know him. Brother Li Yuan, there are so many of them. Why are you still talking about loyalty? This is called universal love. What do you know? Then take us in as well. Leng Ning Lu said with a smile. My ability is limited. I can't share too much. Don't even think about it. I'm not a casual person. The moment Chen Hao said, not a casual person, he lowered his head and looked at Leng Ning Huan's collar. Her seductive white cleavage could be seen clearly. What was even more exaggerated was that this guy's eyes almost popped out of his head. This caused Leng Ning Lu, who had been attacking for a long time to no avail, to let out a scream and push Chen Hao away. And you say you're not a casual person? I've already said, I'm not Lu Xiaohui. Who's Lu Xiaohui? Leng Ning Huan asked. This was the second time Chen Hao said this name. You don't even know this? This is an abnormal man. With a beauty in his arms, he can keep his cool. Which normal man can take it? Mooching, I have to say, your boobs are quite big, quite white, and quite tempting. If you try to seduce me again, I won't be able to hold myself back and I won't take responsibility for it. Chen Hao said shamelessly. His true nature is showing. The two beautiful sisters looked at each other with flushed faces and thought to themselves in their hearts. I'm afraid, Brother Hao knows. Our reaction just now was a little too strong. Then what should we do? Brother Hao definitely didn't sense our origin energy. He's just suspecting this. Why don't you continue? Anyway, you're the one who came up with the idea. Take your time, I'll watch. Sister, how can you do this? Let's do it together. I've always been like this. If you take the initiative, I'll stay like this. Stop talking to each other secretly. Are you scared? If you're scared, then hurry up and leave. Don't keep bothering me. If nothing goes wrong, a war will break out soon. Even if you don't cultivate, I still have to. Xianxia said. I'm not scared. Tell us who you are. It's fine if you don't want to take responsibility, but at least let us hear with our own ears who we're doing this for. Will that do? Ling Ninglu said viciously. We're guessing that you're the god of slaughter, Xianxia. Am I right? Xianxia did not expect Ling Ninglu to say something like that. Chapter 867. However, he immediately understood what she was trying to say. Obviously, the two of them knew that he had already suspected their identities, but they felt that he couldn't confirm their identities. After all, he didn't sense any origin energy from them. With Lung Ningli's words, if Xianxia really wasn't sure who they were, he would definitely become uncertain again because of Ling Ninglu. Unfortunately, Xianxia was 100% sure of it. This girl is actually so smart. If not for my fiery eyes of truth, I wouldn't have dared to make a move. Xianxia thought to himself, but his expression was one of shock. Killing God Xianxia? Then you're really mistaken. Sorry, you should leave quickly. I can tell you clearly that I'm not. Xianxia's expression and words made Ling Ninglu and Ling Ninghuan happy. As expected, he couldn't confirm their identities. It'd be weird if you're not. We've secretly watched your battles in the astounding Thunder Army. Your battle style, mystique, secret arts, etc. Although you've intentionally suppressed them, they're still shockingly similar to killing God Xianxia. Furthermore, the way you retracted your aura, isn't that killing God Xianxia's most famous concealment technique? You've only slowed down your pace. Also, your gaze just now, I dare to say that it's similar to Hu Meinyang's Secular Heart Sutra. You've been entangled with her for so many years, and your relationship is unclear. It's not strange that you've learned something from her. In summary, you're killing God Xianxia. You can't fool us. Xianxia Gij. You're my idol. Just admit it. I'm willing to give up everything for you. Even if you don't take responsibility, I'm willing to. Lung Ningle's exquisite performance and words made Xianxia sweat profusely. Ling Ninghuan went to Xianxia's other side and hugged his arm. This made Xianxia admire their quick-wittedness and courage in teasing him. So if I admit it, you'll let me do whatever I want to you? And I won't have to take responsibility? If you admit it, you'll have to revert to your true form. At least, we'll have to see your true form. What about you guys? We, of course, will be in disguise. That way, you won't have any psychological burden. How can you be so nice? Indeed, if I don't even know what you look like, even if I want to take responsibility in the future, I won't be able to find you. Could love be so selfless? I'm so touched. He took the bait. The beautiful sisters thought to themselves. Although they knew that this was challenging Xianxia's limits, and the mental fortitude that Xianxia displayed at this moment was far from being as good as before, the strange thing was that the two of them completed the task that Xianxia had given them, but they didn't feel the slightest bit of disgust towards Xianxia. She had already stuck to him like this, and Xianxia had also clearly said that he wouldn't take responsibility. So what if he did it? At this moment, Xianxia really shed his disguise. His ordinary appearance suddenly underwent a shocking change. On his handsome face, the corners of his mouth curled up slightly, filled with the familiar evil charm of the two women. At this moment, the fiery sisters' hearts skipped a beat. Their faces were instantly filled with shyness, and their heartbeats quickened. According to Xianxia's words, it was time for them to give themselves to him. Stick out your butt? Xianxia's expression suddenly became serious. Big brother Xianxia, can you not be so cold? Don't be so direct. Don't be so unromantic. At this moment, Xianxia didn't use any energy. Instead, he suddenly reached out and pressed Ling Ninglu, who was still pretending. His big hand directly slapped her plump butt. At the same time, Chen Hao's mouth said something that made Leng Ningguo unable to resist. Huan Huan, Lei, you two little girls have grown up? Papa, you dare to tease your big brother? Papa, did little Shui teach you to do this? Big brother Hao. Papa, Huan Huan, you deserve to be hit too. Papa, big brother Hao, we were wrong. Don't hit us anymore. The two girls' faces were completely red, but they obediently stuck out their butts and allowed Chen Hao to slap them. This kind of slap only caused their hearts to tremble, their bodies to go numb, and their hearts to tremble. How could it hurt? Did you think that you could hide it from your big brother? HM? Why aren't you reverting to your true form? Watch how your big brother ravages you. Don't, big brother Hao, we know our mistakes. I just wanted to play with you. Big brother Hao, no, God grandfather, how did you know it was us? Big brother has discerning eyes. Even when you stick out your butts, I know that you want it. Cough cough, I know who you are. When did you wake up? Why are you so early? Chen Hao asked when he saw that the two girls had reverted to their true forms, but they were still lying in front of him. His slap had become an Lushan's claw. When he didn't know who the two girls were, his lust had been aroused. Now that he knew who they were and that they had reverted to their true forms, how could the hot-blooded Chen Hao control himself? His brother naturally raised his strong head. This was especially so when the two girls were in such a position. No man would be able to control himself. Big brother Hao, tell us first. How did you know it was us? Leng Ningguo was still unwilling to give up. Is there even a need to say it? This big brother has been immortal for 60 years. Even though I've concealed my elegant and dashing appearance, I can't hide my inner charm. There are at least 80, if not 100, beauties who have thrown themselves at me. But none of them are as bold and direct as the two of you. It doesn't make sense. And just now, this big brother used his supreme technique twice, and the two of you reacted accordingly. Who else could it be other than the two of you? That's not right. Big sister Shui, big sister Ting, isn't it fine? Little sister Ting has no problem. She's thick-skinned, but how could little Shui dare to be with her? Only the two of you. Okay, answer my question. We just woke up not long ago. The Taoist mark you left behind was absorbed by Hu Meinyang, big sister Shui, big sister Ting, and big sister Xiao Wu. After that, it lost its energy and disappeared a few days ago. We saw your message and came to find you. Leng Ningguo said with a red face. Big brother Hao, we missed you so much. Leng Ningguo turned around and threw herself into Chen Hao's arms. She hugged him tightly. Leng Ningguo moved closer to him shyly. She gently squeezed out some space and hit her head on Chen Hao's sturdy chest. Chen Hao wrapped his arms around the two girls' slender waists and said, So, they've come out as well? Then they should know about Itota's matter. Also, they should have taken action. We're not sure about that. But, when we came over, Itota recognized us. His strength has increased at an alarming rate. That guy's evil nature is indestructible. After this incident, we must teach him a lesson. All right, take out the aircraft. Let's get down to business. What business? Leng Ningguo asked even though she already knew the answer. Her small hands nervously pinched Chen Hao's waist. What do you think? Chapter 868. The miniature aircraft silently appeared in front of the three of them. Chen Hao held one in each hand and stepped directly into it. DDD, welcome master, welcome the two matriarchs. The artificial intelligence's mechanical voice sounded. The artificial intelligence of all the miniature aircraft was derived from Little Wisdom No. 1, and the highest authority was Chen Hao. Give me the information of all the core members of Proud Heaven. Chen Hao held the two women and did not immediately start. Instead, he gave the artificial intelligence an order. Yes. A moment later, when Chen Hao and the sisters understood the current situation, they shook their heads and quietly flew away. There was no need for him to worry about this place. In the void, the aircraft shuttled aimlessly. Inside the aircraft, in an independent space, Chen Hao and the sisters were entwined together. Their hands were up and down, but they were gently cruising on the graceful and exquisite bodies of the two women. The robe gradually became wider, and the graceful appearance began to appear. The appearance, figure, and even every inch of skin of the sisters were exactly the same. Under Chen Hao's gentle and teasing touch, their small faces had already become shrouded in rosy light. Even their skin was faintly flushed, and they were getting hotter and hotter. Uncontrollable panting came from the roar of the two women, and they moaned again and again. Brother Hao, without the disguise, the hearts of the sisters had long been completely integrated. Every breath, every frown, every smile, even the panting and murmuring became completely the same. The blessing of two people. For the Chen Hao in this life, this was the first time. The two women closed their eyes because of shyness, their eyelashes trembled, and their delicate bodies trembled. This made the sisters, who were born with a natural charm, even more delicate and alluring. When the robe was taken off and the chest wrap disappeared, the two sisters' jade bodies were laid out under Chen Hao's bloodshot eyes. 4 perky breasts, slender waists, slender and smooth jade legs, the mysterious dark forest. What kind of temptation was that? Without much movement, the 2 rivers of spring water had already soaked the two women's snow-white small panties. At this moment, they were like ripe apples, waiting for their beloved man to pick them. Their whole body was itchy and unbearable. Brother Hao, Chen Hao suppressed his desire and gently caressed every inch of their skin as if he was admiring the world's most precious piece of art. The beautiful sisters finally couldn't control themselves and pressed their naked bodies against Chen Hao's body. 4 small hands deftly and quickly took off Chen Hao's Taoist robe, turning it into an open meeting. The moment their skin touched, regardless of whether it was the sisters or Chen Hao, under the stimulation of lust, they all let out notes of love. Chen Hao spread his arms and pressed the 2 girls down on the large, soft, snow-white bed again. His lips landed on her smooth and translucent skin, kissing it little by little. The spring water surged until the pure water overflowed. The soft and delicate bodies of the 2 women became hotter and hotter, redder and redder. They couldn't help but moan louder and louder. Their legs became tighter and tighter, and they couldn't stop themselves from twisting. Hao, Brother Hao, you're ready. Let's start. For a full half an hour, Chen Hao used his hands and mouth to tease the 2 women, but he still didn't make a move. In such a situation, the 2 women finally couldn't bear it anymore and took the initiative to ask. It was their first time doing it, thus they had tried their best to remain reserved. However, under Chen Hao's teasing, they had no choice but to toss their last bit of reservation aside. No rush. What made the 2 women collapse was that Chen Hao actually said such a sentence. In fact, Chen Hao also endured extremely hard. He really wanted to immediately charge forward, but this shameless guy seemed to deliberately make the sisters uncomfortable. Oh, after hearing Chen Hao's words, the sisters finally flipped out and made a move at the same time. Leng Ninghuan flipped over and pressed Chen Hao under her body. Her bright red lips kissed Chen Hao's lips wildly. Her full breasts pressed against Chen Hao's chest, squeezing and twisting with all her might. On the other hand, Leng Ning Li's 2 soft hands directly attacked Chen Hao's little brother. The majestic and hot erection in her hands made Leng Ning Li's whole body tremble, and her private parts trembled. At this moment, she instinctively opened her cherry mouth and embraced him. Oh, Chen Hao, this shameless guy, originally wanted to ravage and torture the 2 women who dared to seduce him, and let them have a taste of the burning desire. But the sisters' fierce counterattack, especially Leng Ning Li's little mouth, made Chen Hao let out a low moan. This kind of psychological impact was really too satisfying. Although Leng Ning Li did not have the slightest bit of skill, 4 small hands and 2 small mouths, giving Chen Hao a taste of his own medicine, teasing the limits of Chen Hao's strong and slender body. 1,000 years of love, 1,000 years of accumulation, 1,000 years of suppression. In Chen Hao and the 2 women's dantian, a raging fire began to burn. Sister, go. Leng Ning Li's trembling and domineering voice rang out. Leng Ninghuan could no longer hold back. Leng Ninghuan lifted her hips slightly, and Leng Ning Li's hands cooperated with her. her alluring and plump but accurately pressed down. Relying purely on instinct, Ling Ninghuan, who did not use any energy, frowned slightly, but immediately sped up. This kind of thing did not require experience and did not require learning. It was purely based on one's primitive desires, and one only needed to follow one's feelings. From inexperience to proficiency, then to Chen Hao's reversal from passive to active. Before reaching the peak, the three's hearts were connected automatically. However, none of them wanted to and did not want to start the dual cultivation. This was their first time, and they only wanted to truly fuse with each other and not use it for cultivation. In fact, the three of them did not even think of cultivating. Amidst the enchanting and gentle sounds, there was no end to the spring scenery. Leng Ninglu, who Gan Tong was deeply attracted to, was not any weaker than her sister. This was a true pair of beautiful sisters. For ordinary people, even if they looked the same, it was impossible to have such a pair of beautiful sisters whose hearts were so connected. 2 hours later, Ling Ninghuan, who was in battle, and Ling Ninglu, who was outside the battle, finally spasmed at the same time and fell softly under Chen Hao's body. At this moment, Chen Hao pressed Ling Ninglu, who had experienced the feeling but was still unable to complete it, under his body. The spring water overflowing Taoyuan was only slightly obstructed by the Virgin, and then it was completely contained. However, Chen Hao, who loved the two women very much, did not rush at the beginning. Instead, he took advantage of the time when the two women were weak and gently throbbed. It was only when Ling Ninglu took the initiative to respond that the battle began again. Chapter 869. After several hours of passion, Ling Ninghuan and Ling Ninghuan curled up in Chen Hao's arms like two little kittens and fell into a deep sleep. Chen Hao caressed their delicate bodies, and he felt an unprecedented sense of satisfaction. His state of mind was peaceful. The fusion of yin and yang. Even if I don't cultivate, there will still be the same effect. It's just that I have to absorb it slowly. No wonder men want to obtain a woman's primordial yin body. It's indeed more effective than any spiritual medicine. Chen Hao felt the two primordial yin bodies flowing through his meridians, blood, and even every cell of his body. It was filled with the essence and aura of the sisters. This feeling was something that Tantai Lian and Fan Shaoqing had never given him before. Even though they were both primordial yin bodies when they fused with Chen Hao, they didn't feel it because of Chen Hao's state at that time. Furthermore, the sisters were now experts at the peak of heavenly immortal advanced stage. Naturally, they couldn't be mentioned in the same breath. Carefully comprehending it, Chen Hao didn't immediately refine it. Instead, he hugged his beautiful body and entered dreamland with a peaceful mind. Yin and yang of the heavens and earth intersected to give birth to all living things. Yang of the male and female of the male and female of the male and female of the female. Only then could the yin and yang be balanced. A dragon toying with two phoenixes. The sisters finally achieved their goal. Their hearts were filled with warmth. They slowly woke up as if they were in a dream. When they saw little Chen Hao standing with his head held high, they took the initiative to seek the Tao once again. In a hazy state, Chen Hao once again fell into a warm embrace. This time, he didn't hesitate and directly connected with the heavens and earth. He intersected with the two ladies and entered into a beautiful dual cultivation state. Chen Hao, who had sealed the cultivation of the transcendent mortal realm for the sisters, was like a fish in water. He was so happy that he forgot about his home. The beautiful sisters, whose innate potential had already reached the limit, were cultivating together with Chen Hao. They were comprehending Chen Hao's various unimaginable attempts and breakthroughs. This kind of situation was far better than Chen Hao directly imbuing them with the comprehension of nature. This was the difference between giving a man a fish and teaching a man to fish. Kill. How dare you destroy the tyrant army? Today, the tyrants will show you the true power of the tyrants. Kill. Don't let any of them go. Leader, can we capture the beautiful woman alive? Pa. If you have the ability, of course you can. Kill, kill, kill. More than a month after Chen Hao and the beautiful sisters entered the boundless land of tenderness, The leader of the tyrants, Xuanxingnan, descended from the sky with a huge army of tyrants' experts. Their murderous intent filled the air. The arrogant and despotic tyrants, who had always been the #1 race in the world, threw away all their scruples at this moment. They wanted to vent to their heart's content all the repressed feelings brought about by the human race. They were like a volcanic eruption, insufferably arrogant. How is this possible? Why are there so many people in the tyrant's army? So many experts? Over. Where is Brother E? Where's Gates? Where are our experts? The majestic and terrifying pressure caused the deicide legion, which had expanded to nearly 20,000 people, to panic uncontrollably. There were too many enemy cultivators, several times their number. What was even more frightening was that the experts among them were even more powerful. This was definitely the largest and most powerful army that the deicide legion had ever seen so far. At this moment, everyone felt the threat of death. The female cultivators' faces were even paler. No one had expected the tyrants to be so arrogant and violent. Be obedient and accept your death. I'll let you die a quick death. Let me tell you clearly, Itoda is finished. Ha! Xuanxingnan of the tyrants laughed wildly as he descended from the sky. His arrogant and proud look simply made him feel good to the bone. What? How is this possible? Hearing Xuanxingnan's words, the deicide legion cultivators were even more frightened. They had lost their leader. Judging from the other party's tone, Itoda, the top expert of the human race who had risen after Chen Hao, Hu Mainyang, and the core members of Ao had been killed. Just as the god-slaying cultivators completely lost their confidence, a mocking laugh that was not too loud suddenly rang out from the god-slaying army. Buzz. At the same time, this figure shone with a bright light. The disguised aura instantly disappeared, revealing his true appearance. Itoda. What? You haven't transformed into the way? Are you surprised? Before Itoda could speak, a sinister and creepy voice rang out from the void. A man stepped on the air with his hands behind his back and arrived above the deicide legion in an instant. Almost instantly, screams rang out one after another. Merciless tyrant, boom! Suddenly, the void not far away seemed to be torn apart. Before the man arrived, an extremely terrifying aura of an ancient ferocious beast rolled out and swept across the world in an instant. Damn it, Lord Pan really wants to see how strong the tyrants are. It was the human-shaped ferocious beast, Coiling Dragon. There's no need to kill a chicken with a butcher's knife. Brother Pan, Brother Du, Lan Feng will do. Boom! How can that be? Do you want me to come here for nothing? Long Yi broke through the air. Although Long Yi had met Ao Tian later and was far less famous than Lan Feng, the powerful aura that Long Yi exuded at this moment was not much weaker than Lan Feng's. Buzz? Just as Xuanxingnan was dumbstruck, his lips trembling as he uttered the two words, without any warning, an incomparably sharp sword directly pierced through his heart. He didn't even have the time to gather his true essence and protection. To his horror, he discovered that the energy around his body was being controlled by an absolute energy that was stronger than him by a level. What was even more shocking was that a beautiful face appeared before his eyes. With just a glance, his gaze was sucked into an endless whirlpool. Hu Mainyang? What Xuanxingnan did not see was the beautiful figure in a blue dress who had pierced his heart with a sword. Even Hu Mainyang could not gain the upper hand. Run. This sudden change, although only a few people had appeared, made the army of more than 100,000 cultivators of the tyrants lose any confidence to fight. Seeing that the leader of the tyrants, Xuanxingnan, was easily controlled by Chen Shui and Hu Mainyang, who would dare to fight. Boom boom boom. Chi. But at this moment, densely packed experts of the human clan appeared out of thin air. A huge army formed by the peripheral members of Ao Tian. Divine soldiers and divine generals. Du Jing waved his hand and ordered. Long Ting, who was hiding in the army, Bailey Ningbing, who had arrived early, Helian Wuzi, Tentai Lien, Chen Ling, Liang, Pan Donglu, and Pan Dongxing appeared at the same time. In an instant the mountains collapsed and the void collapsed. Chapter 870. This battle took 3 days and completely annihilated the tyrant's army of 100,000 masters. The humans also paid a price. The top masters decided the outcome, but it was impossible to win against the hundreds of thousands of top masters from the tyrants. However, under Ao Tian's command, the casualties were only 1/10 of the tyrants. As soon as the battle ended, the precise battlefield statistics were done by the aircraft's AI. Rewards and punishments were clear and reasonable. It was extremely efficient, and the rewards were accurate to every single cultivator. It also allowed everyone to witness proud heaven's terrifying strength. The foreign race masters who were watching from afar were so scared that they wet their pants. At the beginning of the battle, they used all their strength to escape so that they would not be implicated. On this day, the news that the leader of the humans, Hu Mainyang and Ao Tian's core members had returned after disappearing for almost 600 years, spread throughout the 10 major galaxies of the primitive mystic realm. Since then, the outsiders, who were eager to make trouble, became even more obedient than before. No one dared to challenge the absolute authority of the humans. The Protoss and the insect race had been leaderless for hundreds of years. Xianxia and Morichis had disappeared, and no one dared to elect a new leader. It was only when they stepped out of the primitive mystic realm that they knew Xianxia and Morichis had died. Chen Hao, a disciple from a barren planet, can grow to such a terrifying level. It's beyond imagination. There hasn't been much change in more than 3 years, but he's still far ahead. It's incredible. Vast universe galaxy, second world, and such discussions filled the Alliance Square of the major cities almost every day. Many people had heard so much that calluses grew on their ears. It's almost over. It's been 6 years, the waves will wash away the sand. When this batch of cultivators comes out, they will definitely compete with the young geniuses who were originally in the heaven immortal realm. I'm afraid they won't be weak. This is the fate of the heavens. Which of the young people in the heaven immortal realm is not a monster? They're much stronger than the cultivators who entered the primitive mystic realm. However, their mistake was that they advanced to the heavenly celestial stage too early and missed the opportunity to enter the primitive mystic realm. Now, I'm afraid many of them will be surpassed by cultivators whose natural talent is far inferior to theirs. The main reason is that the primitive mystic realm this time is too perverse. Now, the ruler of our vast universe galaxy, Chen Wuliang, and his 2 Dao companions have successfully severed their Dao, and the peak masters of the other galaxies have also severed their Dao. I have a premonition that an unprecedented era is about to appear. An expert sighed. His words caused many of the surrounding experts to reveal solemn expressions. Since the beginning of time, what did this mean? Since time immemorial, all things in the world had been evolving under the laws of the great Tao. Flourishing and withering, evolving into immortality. The birth of a universe, its development, its prosperity, its decline, and even its destruction, was not something that could be changed by human will. The primitive secret realm was the best proof. The arrival of a great era meant that the universe was heading towards its peak. Although there was the suspicion of groundless fears, it would more or less make these old cultivators who had reached their limits feel a trace of the sorrow of a hero past his prime. Boom. In the chaotic space outside the Yang planet in the vast universe galaxy, a figure sitting cross-legged in an endless storm of chaos suddenly pointed his finger. The terrifying chaotic energy seemed to have been sucked into a vacuum in an instant. A fragment of a planet with a diameter of millions of miles was annihilated in an instant. Phew. Even the middle stage Daluo Jingxian is no match for me. Moreover, I can step into the ranks of Daluo Jingxian at any time. Chen Hao of the Wuji planet. I'm looking forward to it. After restraining his almost uncontrollable essence, energy, and spirit, the figure directly tore through the space barrier and entered the Ying planet. Young Master Xiao. Young Master Xiao. Back in the Valley of Happiness, the top sect on the Ying planet, a silhouette appeared in the void and slowly descended. Many silhouettes emanating terrifying auras rose from the Valley of Happiness. Any one of those silhouettes would have caused a sensation in the world of cultivators. Each of them had the demeanor of a transcendent being with fluttering white beards. However, each of them had white hair and a youthful complexion. At first glance, one could tell that they were the leading figures of their respective regions. Supreme Hongmeng. The Happy Valley was only a top sect on the Yang planet. How could it have so many Supreme Hongmeng cultivators? What was even more surprising was that these Supreme Hongmeng cultivators actually bowed to the young man who had just landed in the void of the Happy Valley. The respect in their eyes was not at all pretentious. It seemed to come from the bottom of their hearts. This young man was spirited and handsome. His eyes were like the stars, the sun, and the moon. The aura around him was restrained to the extreme. The young man only nodded slightly. Under the escort of these Supreme Hongmeng cultivators, he stepped into the core palace of the Happy Valley. At this moment, the Valley Master of the Happy Valley didn't even have the right to sit. He wore a humble, flattering, and respectful smile on his face, like a clown welcoming guests. The dignified venerables of a sect had been reduced to such a state, but they didn't dare to show any dishonesty. All of this was thanks to one person, Chen Hao. If he had known this would happen, he would never have made a 10-year duel with Chen Hao just because his disciple, Mo Xiaoji, was a genius from the demonic ant planet and also the top genius of the Happy Valley. Who would have thought that a disciple from a barren planet, even if he was a prodigy, would be able to grow to such a level without the support of a powerful faction or background? No one would have thought. At least, none of the Supreme Hongmeng cultivators present could have imagined. When he saw Chen Hao's terrifying battle record and contribution points on the second pagoda tablet, he knew that he was doomed. With his Happy Valley, demonic ant planet, and a few other small planets, it was simply impossible for him to kill such a stunning genius who was one of the best in the entire vast universe galaxy. The 10-year duel would only be child's play. Not only that, he also had to prepare well for Chen Hao's revenge when he truly matured. It had to be said that this was a very worrying matter. But what he didn't expect was that half a year ago, several top sects and families in the vast universe galaxy had taken the initiative to seek him out. Thus, there were now many Supreme Hongmeng cultivators and this young heavenly immortal expert. This was definitely a good thing for him and the people of the demonic ant planet. Even though he knew that he had just become someone else's knife. Because they wanted to use the 10-year duel between the Happy Valley and Chen Hao to avenge their dead prodigies openly. The Four Mad Dragons by Yen, Chen Lin, and so on. And the heavenly immortal youth they had invited was even more amazing in terms of strength, talent, and background. It was said that he didn't even care at first, but later on, this youth took the initiative to agree. Chapter 871. Congratulations, young Master Xiao, for reaching the Great Circle. Even old man would find it difficult to achieve young Master Xiao's attack. No wonder you're the top genius of our vast universe galaxy. If young Master Xiao can trigger the heavenly punishment, you'll be invincible. No wonder the patriarchs all asked for young Master Xiao's help. It'll be foolproof. You flatter me. The young man who sat in the main seat did not show any emotion in the face of everyone's compliments. He said coldly, "Are there any changes to the rankings? Also, did you find the details I wanted?" Young Master Xiao, don't worry. Chen Hao's battle achievements and contributions have only changed a little on the rankings. We've already investigated all the details. In the most recent battle, all the members of Proud Heaven were mobilized. Hu Mainyang also participated and cooperated with Proud Heaven. However, Chen Hao did not appear. After that battle, there were very few large-scale conflicts. There's also no news about Chen Hao. Is that so? Did you bring the things I wanted? Of course. This is what we, the great families and sects, should do. Please check it, young Master Xiao. A stream of light flashed, and a profound and majestic aura filled the entire palace. Accompanied by a delicate fragrance and 7-colored light, 6 sacred-level Dharma treasures, 6 extremely precious sacred-level pills, and 6 jade slips engraved with complicated runes appeared in front of everyone. The young man's calm and indifferent eyes finally showed a hint of excitement. He waved his hand and stored them in his mind. I'll rush over when the primitive secret realm ends. You don't have to contact me during this time. After the young man finished speaking, his figure flashed and disappeared from the palace. In an instant, the void outside the palace rippled. It was obvious that he had torn the void and left. What arrogance. He's just a puny heavenly immortal. Don't talk nonsense. How am I talking nonsense? We're all Hongmeng Supremes. Look at him, does he even care about us? So what? Xiao Yan was the #1 genius of the Xiao clan. How many people in the world could enter the eyes of the Xiao clan? On the other hand, Xiao Yan was already at the peak of the advanced stage of the heaven celestial stage before he was even 1,000 years old. Now, it was obvious that he had reached the perfection stage and could step into the Daluo Jingxian anytime. It would be strange if such a monstrous genius didn't have any pride. Yes, but I find it strange. When we invited him, he rejected us without even thinking about it. Why did he suddenly agree now? The conditions that he proposed didn't even reach our bottom line. Even if we don't agree to his conditions, he will still fight with Chen Hao. What's going on? Firstly, Chen Hao's terrifying battle achievements and contributions are unprecedented. He has truly become famous throughout the world. The world I'm talking about is our entire universe. A mountain can't hold two tigers. Such a genius made him want to make a move. Killing Chen Hao would undoubtedly earn him supreme providence. Secondly, I think it's the Misty Rain Pavilion's current saintess, Hu Mainyang. Since he asked us to investigate Chen Hao and Hu Mainyang, it should be related to Hu Mainyang. Although Chen Hao killed our genius this time, it's more or less related to Hu Mainyang. That's right. Unfortunately, Hu Mainyang has the Misty Rain Pavilion's support. Moreover, she has made great contributions in the primitive mystic realm. Moreover, she's the leader of the human race. We have to find an opportunity to deal with her. There will be opportunities. As long as Hu Mainyang and Chen Hao are related, we might not even have to do anything. What do you mean? The Misty Rain Pavilion saintess, especially a Khanate Dao embryo who has cultivated the Red Dust Heart Sutra, doesn't fall in love easily. If she does, she'll be loyal to her husband. Don't forget how crazy the previous saintess was. With Xiao Yan's strength, there's no doubt that he can kill Chen Hao. So, what will Hu Mainyang do? Alright, it's time for us to get down to business. Let's split up. Brother Wan, is this really necessary? Every injustice has its perpetrator, every debt has its debtor. This is an order. We just have to carry it out. This time, with Chen Hao as an opportunity, the game is between the upper echelons. We just have to do as they say. We have to control the names given by the upper echelons. I keep feeling that something is wrong. Based on what we know about Chen Hao, he won't run away. Then you should suppress this feeling. Who can be sure that he won't run away? Xiao Yan is the strongest heavenly immortal in the temple, and he's now a perfected heavenly immortal. Coupled with his background in the temple, who can or dares to compete with him? Don't tell me you don't know about Chen Hao's possible background. This is a game between the upper echelons. Carry out the order. Alright, brother. On the Ying planet, a young girl who looked like Chen Shui but gave off a completely different vibe was sitting on the edge of a cliff with her arms around her knees. She looked at the endless night sky and murmured, "That's right, brother Chen Shui." Behind the young girl, a bonfire burned. More than 10 figures that Chen Hao was familiar with were chatting, drinking, and eating. Brother Nan, go call little Yen. Boss will be coming out of the primitive mystic realm soon. She should be happy. Chen Nan shook his head helplessly and said, "Let her be. You know that little Yen is like this? We're both brothers, but she doesn't listen to me. Come, let's drink." How could he not know about his sister's feelings? His brother had been their idol since they were young, and he had always been their goal. However, no matter how hard they tried, they seemed to be getting further and further away from their brother. Chen Nan could face this feeling of helplessness calmly, but Chen Yen could not. 4 years ago, Chen Nan, Chen Yen, Huyan Aobua, Meng Xiao, the first king, Jing Tiangang, Bailey Lianqing, Zhang Rongrong, Gao Dezhuang, Bai Xiaomei, Jiang Hai, and Huang Wenxiu had all reached the human celestial stage. They left the Wuji planet and came to the wider world of the Ying planet. Although they had shown good talent in the test of the second world, especially Qin Nan and Qin Yen, who had received many invitations, they did not join any faction. The reason was simple. They were waiting for Chen Hao's return. Fortunately, the Wuji planet had deliberately given them resources, and they were treated well. In order to catch up with Chen Hao, they had cultivated like crazy and made amazing progress in the past 4 years. Okay, let's drink. Let's get drunk tonight. Tomorrow, we'll go back to the station and wait for our boss's return. Our boss is now a master of the heaven celestial stage, and his battle contribution is #1. It is said that he is invincible among the top 10 clans in the original Star Zone. I'm so excited when I think about it. We've been trying our best, but we've still embarrassed our boss. I want to see him, but I'm also afraid to see him. What are you afraid of? Is our boss that kind of person? To be honest, it's not that we're too weak, but that our boss is too strong. I think that when our boss comes back, all of us will grow at a super high speed. When a man achieves the Tao, even his chickens and dogs will ascend to heaven. Besides, we are our boss's brothers. Who's there? Swish. The old members of the proud heaven sect were startled. They looked at Qin Yen, who had shouted suddenly and was surrounded by violent energy. They did not feel anything unusual. Qin Nan, who had drunk a lot, suddenly felt his hair stand on end. He instantly went to Qin Yan's side. Not bad, not bad. You're just a kid at the human celestial stage, but you can sense the old man's detection. Why are you sneaking around? Sneaking around? The old man is still 90 million miles away. I have no choice. I'll be there soon. Chen Nan, Qin Yen, Huan Aobua, and the others all widened their eyes in shock when they heard the voice that sounded like it was right next to their ears. Chapter 872. On the Wuji star, the central continent, the eastern continent, and even the mortal world, no one sensed anything unusual. However, those who were related to Chen Hao and those who were related to Chen Shui and the other girls all disappeared overnight. No one knew what had happened. Before the primitive secret land ended, a conspiracy against Chen Hao was brewing. Who would have thought? In the primitive secret land. In the 1040th year, in the entire primitive secret realm, everywhere in the void, a terrifying tremor suddenly surged. Many space-time doors that connected the 9 heavens and 10 earths and gave off boundless mysteries appeared above every cultivator. At the same time, every cultivator felt the token vibrate intensely for the first time. It's over. It's finally over. Is it over? Heaven Immortal, Not only have I become a Heaven Immortal, but I've also obtained countless Dharma treasures. I will definitely become the top genius of the faction and be valued by the faction. Finally, I don't have to suffer anymore. There were those who were excited, those who were sentimental, and those who were stifled. Almost every cultivator let out a long howl at the sky at this moment, venting their feelings. 1 year and 40 years. When they entered, they were only at the Earth's celestial stage. Apart from some old people, for the young geniuses, it was undoubtedly a long time. Now, no matter what happened in the primitive secret land, those who were able to leave alive had gained a lot. Even the cultivators of the mysterious tribe who were depressed could hold their heads high when they returned. No one doubted this. At least in the records, there had never been such a crazy Earth celestial stage primitive secret land. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. Many figures exuded their most powerful auras and rushed toward the dazzling space-time gates. It's over. At this moment, on a desolate mountain peak in the primitive secret realm, Chen Hao, whose arms were held by the sisters, was also extremely excited as he looked towards the sky. Countless tokens gathered around him. What was more amazing was that the tokens of the deity tribe and the insect tribe in his mind had also activated the space-time gates of the 2 galaxies, causing the space-time gates to gather above Chen Hao. Brother Hao, let's go. Wait. Swoosh. Greetings, Master. Following Chen Hao's words, several Zerg and Protoss experts, who had been taken into Chen Hao's mind, knelt respectfully in front of Chen Hao. These are the helmets of our human race's second world, one for each of you. Yes, Master. Don't think that you can escape from my control just because you've broken through the Daluo Jinxian. As long as I want to, I can destroy your body and soul at any time. If you don't believe me, you can give it a try when we get back. Seeing the excitement in their eyes, Chen Hao said coldly. Master, we wouldn't dare. It doesn't matter if you dare or not. No one can obtain my secret from you. Once an expert above the Daluo Golden Wonderland investigates it, your souls will be destroyed. I've already told you what I should. I'll only look for you if I need you. If I don't, then just be yourself. Perhaps I won't need you for the rest of your lives. Go. Yes. Master, if you summon me, I will not refuse. Sush. Brother Hao, when the alien race expert's spatial gates disappeared, the sisters looked at Chen Hao with a hint of worry. Don't worry. I'm not trying to scare them. Besides, they've been converted over the past few hundred years. It's a pity to kill them, but they might be useful in the future. Go. You should enter your spatial gates. Oh. Brother Hao. We weren't able to help you turn into a mortal. I'm sorry, silly girl, why are you being so polite with me? You've already progressed very quickly. Alright, let's go. I'll see you in the second world. I'm afraid we can't. Our second world has been restricted, then wait for me to settle that matter. When we return to the vast universe star system, it'll be time for the battle in 10 years. I'd like to see who dares to control you. Alright, Brother Hao. We'll wait for you. Chen Hao watched as the spirited sisters, who had become even more beautiful under his nourishment, disappeared into the dimensional gate. He took a deep breath and took a step forward. Battle in 10 years, Happy Valley, demonic ant planet. A bunch of rascals. Not only have I become a heavenly immortal, I'm at the peak of the advanced heavenly immortal stage. Moreover, I'm in my mortal state. It's been 6 years. 1,000 years in the primitive mystic realm, so it should be 6 years in the vast universe star system. Brother, sister, Aoba, and the first king should have stepped out of the boundless planet by now. I wonder how they're doing now. I've killed a genius from the vast universe star system. I don't think they'll let me off so easily. Chen Hao was filled with questions, anticipation, excitement, and helplessness as he entered his own space-time gate. After returning to vast universe galaxy for a short 6 years, even Chen Hao didn't think that he would grow to such a degree. There was pride, there was anticipation, there was excitement from being reunited with his family and friends, but there was also a trace of helplessness. Once a person stepped into the world of cultivation, there was no turning back. This was a world where the strong were respected. If one did not want to be eaten, then the only way was to become stronger and reach the peak of martial arts step by step. Now, Chen Hao knew that he could dominate the primitive mystic realm, but he was nothing in the eyes of some big shots. He was still an ant. Buzz. In the spatial gate, Chen Hao quietly closed his eyes and felt the mysteries of the changes in time and space. Although his realm was far from being able to understand the mysteries of the spatial gate, he would not miss this opportunity. Cultivators were like boats going against the current. If they did not improve, or if they improved too slowly, they might fall on the path to the peak of martial arts. A stream of light flashed past, and Chen Hao's figure appeared in front of a familiar giant aircraft. At this moment, the aircraft was under the control of a supreme expert from Hongmeng. It was still shining brightly and connected to the 9 heavens and 10 earths, opening the spatial gate for cultivators. 6 years ago he left. 6 years later, it felt like a lifetime had passed. He had killed along the way, bringing with him endless glory, endless treasures, as well as extremely high battle results and contribution points. He had returned with a full load. Chen Hao, he is the god of massacre, Chen Hao. Number 1 of the human race, Chen Hao, who dominated the primitive mystic realm. He is indeed a dragon among men. I did not expect this, I really did not expect this. In the aircraft, dozens of elders stood on both sides of the entrance of the aircraft. When they saw Chen Hao's figure appear, they swarmed out. Their eyes were filled with excitement and admiration as they looked at the calm Chen Hao, as if they were welcoming a warrior who had returned victorious. Master? Behind the many experts, a young girl stood on her tiptoes. Her face was red from excitement, and her eyes were filled with tears. She looked at Chen Hao's figure and murmured in her heart. At this moment, 6 years had passed, but she still felt that it was unreal, as if it was a dream. It wasn't until she saw Chen Hao's gaze pass through the crowd and smile at her that her fragile and nervous heart finally calmed down a little. Soon after, tears of happiness poured down. Master did not forget about her. She wanted to jump over, but she forced herself to hold back. She knew how lowly her status was. To be able to receive her master's favor and pity was already a blessing that she had cultivated for hundreds of generations. How could she affect her master's reputation in front of so many people? In these 6 years, she had been collecting information about Chen Hao all the time. And the Fan family had also fulfilled their promise to Chen Hao, treating him as a VIP and not a human Dan. Especially after Chen Hao's battle results and contribution points had skyrocketed, Fan Xiaoqing's treatment had also increased. Furthermore, the Fan family had also discovered the relationship between Fan Donglu, Fan Dongxing, and Chen Hao through the internal investigation of the alliance, so they could not mistreat Fan Xiaoqing. Even if they all knew that Fan Xiaoqing was just Chen Hao's servant. Murderous god Chen Hao, congratulations on your triumphant return. Congratulations, congratulations. When the captain, an expert from the Grand Mist Supremacy realm, was the first to cup his fists, ignoring the other returning cultivators and congratulating Chen Hao alone with a smile, the other experts on the aircraft all greeted him enthusiastically. And the other returning cultivators did not hide anything. Instead, they all looked at Chen Hao, who was right in front of them, with excitement. Murderous god Chen Hao. It was such a person who stood proudly in the 10 major galaxies of the primal secret realm, and no one dared to compete with him. There was no jealousy, only respect, admiration, and envy. That was an existence that had completely surpassed their level. For the rest of their lives, he was destined to be an existence that they would look up to. Thank you. Chen Hao smiled and cupped his fists towards the elders, without any arrogance of a young man. Under everyone's envious gaze, Chen Hao stepped onto the aircraft and walked straight to Fan Xiaoqing. Without any hesitation, he wiped away the tears of happiness on Fan Xiaoqing's face and held her little hand, walking towards the VIP room. Qin Xiaoya, please. It turned out that the steward of the Fan family who had contacted Chen Hao was 100 times more respectful than before. That was respect that came from the bottom of his heart, and not just on the surface. He led the two of them enthusiastically, even though they didn't need him at all. This manager had already received the order from the head of the Fan family. Murderous god Chen Hao was the most important guest of the Fan family. At any time, any request, even if it cost him his life, he had to do his best to fulfill it. He was very clear about the kindness that murderous god Chen Hao had towards Fan Xiaoqing and Fan Donglu. At the same time, he was also very envious of Fan Xiaoqing's luck as a human pill. Captain, it's a bit strange. Although Chen Hao has restrained his aura, he is indeed very strong. But I feel that he shouldn't be able to dominate the 10 major galaxies. Could it be that the alien race that entered the primal secret realm this time is not very strong? I find it strange too. But there is no doubt that the alien race is a genius. I have seen the specific battle situation in the primal secret realm. Chen Hao's battle power can only be described as terrifying. Can't be wrong. Maybe it's because of his unique skill to hide his aura. When Chen Hao and Fan Xiaoqing entered the VIP room, the elders on the aircraft communicated secretly. Chapter 873. Peak of the initial stage of the Earth celestial stage. Xiaoqing, did you trigger the divine punishment here? After entering the VIP room, Chen Hao looked at Fan Xiaoqing, who had tied up her long hair and was full of femininity, and asked. No, the supervisor brought me into the planet to trigger it. But thank you. Fan Xiaoqing lowered her head and didn't dare to look at Chen Hao. They were only together for a short time, and they didn't know much about each other. They were separated for 6 years, and during these 6 years, the man in front of her carried the supreme glory and the aura of a superior. This made Fan Xiaoqing, who was born in a humble family, nervous. Thank me for what? You don't have to be nervous. Chen Hao touched Fan Xiaoqing's head and gently pulled her into his arms. He could feel Fan Xiaoqing's trembling body and said softly, But the supervisor told me everything about you. The head of the Fan family personally met me in the second world and asked me to tell Master that when you come out, you must enter the second world and contact him. He said that he has something important to tell you. Oh? The head of the Fan family is Fan Dongliu's grandfather? Chen Hao asked. Although he was familiar with Fan Donglu and Fan Dongxing, his understanding of the Fan family was limited. No, it's Miss Dongliu's great-grandfather. He said it's about the battle between the Happy Valley and Master in 10 years. Hearing Fan Xiaoqing's words, Chen Hao frowned slightly. Was the battle in 10 years still a big deal to him? Not to mention that everyone just called him the god of killing. Even if this didn't happen, Chen Hao could imagine that his every move in the primitive mystic realm would have been spread to the vast universe galaxy. With the combat power he showed, Chen Hao wasn't conceited, but how powerful could a sect like the Happy Valley invite a divine immortal? The head of the Fan family must know this, and because of this, Chen Hao felt strange. Let's go in together. Take me to see him. Okay. This time, Chen Hao directly used the spirit helmet of the true body. His essence, qi, and spirit were suddenly released. At the same time, he offered up a drop of essence blood. In an instant, the helmet of the spirit helmet bloomed with an incomparably bright light. Fan Xiaoqing, who was beside Chen Hao, opened her mouth wide in shock. That aura was too powerful for her. At least, none of the heavenly immortal realm experts she had seen could compare to Chen Hao. DDD. As soon as Chen Hao entered, countless notifications sounded. The latest ones were from Long Ting, Long Yi, Pan Long, Du Jing, Pan Dong Lu, Pan Dong Xing, Lan Feng, and a few others. There were also a few cultivators that Chen Hao was familiar with, but he had never interacted with them. He had only given them his contact number before he left. Chen Hao quickly read the messages. Long Ting, Pan Long, and the others naturally invited Chen Hao to meet in the second world. As for the astounding Thunder Legion, the friends he had made under Li Yuan's identity were full of surprise and disbelief. Their words were full of praise and admiration. The other tens of thousands of messages made Chen Hao's heart feel warm. Those were the messages he had received since 4 years ago. They were all from the senior members of the Proud Heaven Legion. They were constantly reporting to him about their situation. What touched Chen Hao the most was his sister Chen Yan. She sent him a message almost every day. It was only half a month ago that she stopped. Looking at his sister's detailed report, which revealed her deep longing for him as well as her subtle expression of her feelings, a faint smile appeared on the corners of Chen Hao's mouth as he shook his head. His sister had grown up. It was just like his premonition. His sister's feelings for him were no longer as simple as that of siblings. Chen Hao couldn't describe how he felt. In his memory, his sister was still a little girl who hadn't grown up. What they had was true family love. As for love, the love between a man and a woman, to be honest, Chen Hao really didn't have that. But he would never let his sister be sad in the slightest. There was no reason for him to accept it. Moreover, he believed that this kind of familial love could be transformed into the love between a man and a woman. It was a very simple matter. After all, they weren't related by blood. Otherwise, his sister wouldn't have such feelings for him. Chen Hao was multitasking. In a moment, he replied one after another. He told Long Ting, Pan Long, and the others that he was going to meet the patriarch of the Fan family. He also notified Fan Donglu and Fan Dongxing. As for his younger brother, sister, Huyan Aobua, and the other senior members of the Proud Heaven Legion, Chen Hao directly told them to wait for him at the Wuji base on the Yang planet. He thought that he would soon receive a reply or even a communication request, but to Chen Hao's surprise, his younger brother, sister, Huyan Aobua, and the others didn't reply. Chen Hao didn't think too much about it. He first contacted Fan Xiaoqing. Then, Chen Hao directly took the teleportation array and went to East Flow City. Brother Hao. Boss. Master. When Chen Hao arrived at East Flow City, Fan Donglu, Fan Dongxing, and Chen Hao were already waiting at the exit of the teleportation array. When they saw him, the three of them directly greeted him. "Brother Hao, the patriarch has already contacted me. He's waiting for you at the base," Fan Donglu said. "I didn't expect Brother Hao to know Xiaoqing. Ahem. It's a coincidence. Don't snitch to your sisters-in-law for the time being. I'll tell them myself." Chen Hao smiled slightly and pulled Fan Xiaoqing back. Fan Donglu curled his lips. Although he didn't show anything on the surface, and he already had an accurate position of himself, it would be strange if he wasn't jealous of Fan Xiaoqing in his heart. She was a dignified young lady. Whether it was appearance, talent, or status, she was several times better than Fan Xiaoqing, but she didn't have Fan Xiaoqing's life. "Master, Xiaoqing is just your servant." "Mistress." "Mistress won't blame Xiaoqing, right?" Fan Xiaoqing said with a red face. "No. It's just that I didn't have time to tell them." "Okay, let's go." "Boss, your battle record and contribution points are as lonely as snow. Although I expected it, I didn't expect it to be so high. Boss, you've rested for 600 or 700 years. Fan Dongxing had already received the statistical information on the pagoda monument and was extremely excited. Even his achievements were extremely dazzling, making more than 90% of the disciples of the Divine Temple blush with shame. And he knew that all of this was because he followed the right boss. There's a lot you can't imagine. However, the statistical ability of this token is really abnormal. Qin Xiaoqing obediently followed behind Chen Hao. In front of others, she didn't dare to have any intimate actions. Although she knew that Chen Hao wouldn't have any objections if she held onto Chen Hao's arm, she was very clear about her position. She didn't want Chen Hao to have any difficulties because of her. "This is Chen Hao, Brother Chen, right? You're indeed a dragon among men." When Chen Hao's group of 4 appeared at the enormous encampment of the Fan family at East Flow City in the Second World, a sage-like old man stroked his long beard and stared at Chen Hao with bright eyes as he enthusiastically said, Chapter 874. Great-grandfather? Why you calling him that? Brother Hao is our boss. Pan Dong Lu suddenly rushed to the old man's side like a little bird and said frankly, "You guys do what you need to do. Great-grandfather will do what he needs to do. Heroes don't matter how old they are. Family leader Fan, please don't kill me. Dong Lu and Dong Xing are my brothers and sisters. I really don't deserve to be called that." Chen Hao cupped his fists and bowed. He didn't expect that the family leader of the Fan family would welcome a little sky immortal like him at the door. This was a true master of the Grand Mist Supremacy realm. Normal people didn't even have the right to see him, but the family leader of the Fan family not only welcomed him at the door, but also called him brother. This was too warm. That's good too. It is Dong Lu and Dong Xing's good fortune to have a big brother like you. Come, let's go in and talk. Family head Fan heard Chen Hao's words and was slightly taken aback. Then, the smile on his face became more sincere as he waved his hand and said, "Brother Hao, this is my grandfather, these are my parents. Boss, this is my grandfather." Although there were many people welcoming Chen Hao, only the direct elders of Fan Donglu and Fan Dongxing could enter the core palace with the family leader of the Fan family. After Chen Hao was forced to the VIP seats by the family leader of the Fan family, Fan Donglu and Fan Dongxing introduced Chen Hao. "Chen Hao, old man will call you by your name. This time, I have to thank you for taking care of Donglu and Dongxing in the primitive secret realm. Without you, I'm afraid they wouldn't have been able to come out. Family leader Fan, you're welcome. Donglu and Dongxing are both core members of the Proud Heavens. It's only right for them to do anything." Family leader Fan, Little Qing said that you're looking for me to talk about the 10-year battle between me and the Valley of Happiness? Chen Hao said. Facing a master of the Grand Mist Supremacy realm, Chen Hao didn't have the slightest reservations. Of course, the main reason was that the other party had concealed his aura. Otherwise, no one would be able to be at ease with just the pressure he emitted. Not bad. Ever since he learned of your relationship with Donglu and Dongxing, Old Man has been paying attention to your situation and collecting all the information about you. I also heard about your duel with the Valley of Happiness. A while ago, when I was gathering with a few old friends, I happen to hear some things. I'm afraid that your duel with the Valley of Happiness has already evolved into the revenge of a few top clans and sects. I believe that you can guess which clans and sects it is. Chen Hao frowned slightly and responded. Because of the battle techniques and contribution points you obtained, you received the highest level of protection from the temple, so they didn't dare to act recklessly. That's why they made an issue out of your 10-year battle with the Valley of Happiness, and it's a battle to the death. Upon hearing Family Head Fan's words, Chen Hao's eyes shone with pride as he said confidently, "It doesn't matter. Since they want to make use of this arranged battle, then they can only send a heavenly celestial stage expert to deal with me. Heavenly celestial stage is nothing to me." That's right. Brother, how can even kill a mid-stage Daluo Jingxian easily, let alone a heavenly celestial stage expert? Pan Donglu said. That's right, Family Head. Boss was able to dominate the 10 major galaxies of the primal mystic realm. He's definitely not someone that the heavenly celestial stage experts of their clans and sects can contend with. You guys. If it's really that simple, why would I, your great-grandfather, look for your boss? Chen Hao, your aura is indeed very strong. Although you've hidden it in old man's eyes, it's not completely undetectable, but at least it's not far from the mark. And this time, the heavenly celestial stage expert they've invited to duel with you is the temple's #1 heavenly celestial stage genius, Xiao Yan. Ah! Upon hearing Family Head Fan's words, Pan Donglu cried out in surprise, looking extremely shocked. Fan Dongxing and Chen Hao were puzzled. Obviously, the two of them did not know much about the temple's #1 heavenly celestial stage genius, Xiao Yan. From Pan Donglio's expression, it could be seen that Xiao Yan was definitely not simple. However, he still could not cause any waves in Chen Hao's heart. This was the confidence of a powerhouse. Fan Dongxing, who did not know who Xiao Yan was, had absolute confidence in his boss, Chen Hao. Donglu, can't boss deal with him? As long as he's a heavenly celestial, I don't think there's anyone who can be boss's opponent. Fan Dongxing looked at Pan Donglu and said, Xiao Yan, the #1 genius of the Xiao family, the #1 family in the vast universe galaxy. He's less than 1,000 years old, but he's already at the peak of the late-stage heavenly celestial stage. It's said that 100 years ago, he had the strength to kill a mid-stage Daluo Jingxian. No one in the temple dares to provoke him, not only because of his strength, but also because of the Xiao family's background. Half of the temple can be said to belong to the Xiao family. Pan Donglu said solemnly. That's right. Hearing Pan Donglio's words, the Fan family's patriarch showed a look of approval. As the #1 genius of the Fan family, she received education in all aspects, especially information about the top geniuses of the vast universe galaxy. It was one of the compulsory courses. Now, Xiao Yan has reached the peak of the heavenly celestial stage and can step into the ranks of Daluo Jingxian at any time. You have to be fully prepared. This is very unfair to you, and it may cause irreparable consequences. Although our Fan family is the #1 family in East Flow City, we can't shake them at all. It's even more impossible to deter them. So, if you can use your background, it's best to use it. The Fan family's patriarch stared at Chen Hao and said meaningfully. Now, all kinds of information about Chen Hao, although they did not dare to say that they had dug 3 feet into the ground, many suspicious points had been exposed. No one thought that Chen Hao did not have any background, but as for what his background was, no one knew for the time being. Understood. To be honest, I don't know if my background is useful or not, and I can't take the initiative to contact him. Thank you for reminding me, Patriarch Fan. Then what do you plan to do? At the same level, I have no reason not to fight. Chen Hao said with a slight smile. Chen Hao, if you can't get Xiao Yan to reject you, I suggest that you temporarily avoid the battle. This is a life and death battle. Even if you have the strength to kill Xiao Yan, what are the consequences? Moreover, Xiao Yan's background is very strong. Now, even Daluo Jingxian at the late stage might not be his match. And although you have obtained 1,000 years of experience in the primal secret realm, it is still a bit rushed. Looking at Chen Hao's calm expression and the sharp glint in his eyes, Patriarch Fan reminded him again. I'm afraid I don't have a choice. Fighting openly is better than them scheming in the dark, Chen Hao said with a frown. Patriarch Fan, everyone, my brothers and sisters in proud heaven are waiting for me. Goodbye, thank you. Wait, this is the information old man collected, perhaps it will be of some help to you, Qi. A milky white light floated in front of Chen Hao. Thank you. After Chen Hao absorbed it into his forehead, he pulled Shen Shaoqing, cupped his fist to everyone, and flew into the sky. Fan Donglu and Fan Dongxing also followed closely behind. Chapter 875. Master, I'll leave first. When the four of them arrived at the teleportation array, Chen Shaoqing saw Chen Hao looking at her. Smart as she was, she turned into a ray of white light and disappeared from the second world. Chen Hao was taken aback for a moment. He shook his head and stepped into the teleportation array with Pan Donglu and Pan Dongxing, heading straight for Vast Universe City. Boss, we'll wait for you at the entrance of the Alliance Teleportation Center. As soon as they stepped out of the teleportation array, Du Jing contacted Chen Hao and said excitedly. Du Jing was the disciple of the Valley Master of Poison King Valley. Before he stepped into the primitive secret realm, he was the #1 genius of Poison King Valley. Now that he had improved tremendously, his status in Poison King Valley was even higher. Now, everyone was still on the aircraft returning to Vast Universe System. After entering the second world in advance, the gathering was set at Vast Universe City's Poison King Valley encampment. Chen Hao, Fan Donglu, and Fan Dongxing had just come out when Long Ting, like an arrow leaving the bow, directly jumped into Chen Hao's arms. Du Jing, Pan Long, Lan Feng, Long Yi, as well as Chen Ling and Li Yang, who were easily brought back by Du Jing and had obtained the Spirit Realm helmets, also excitedly came to greet them. Senior brother, it's not over yet? Pan Long lowered his head and bent his waist, sensing Chen Hao's restrained aura. He could tell at a glance that Chen Hao was still in the transcendent mortal state. It's not that easy, boss, Brother Pan, let's go to our Poison King Valley encampment first. Let's go. Du Jing looked at the countless cultivators around him and said telepathically. More than 10 minutes later, everyone took the teleportation array and arrived outside Vast Universe City, at the entrance of a palace complex in the Cloud Mountain Range. It was many times bigger than the Fan family encampment in East Flow City. From this, it could be seen how high the status of Poison King Valley was in Vast Universe System. Boss, my master wants to see you, there's something important, Chen Hao frowned slightly. From Du Jing's expression, he could vaguely guess that he should be similar to the head of the Fan family. The truth was just as Chen Hao expected. However, the valley head of the Poison King Valley was obviously much more powerful than the Fan family head. Furthermore, unlike the hasty meeting between the Fan family head and Chen Hao, the valley head of the Poison King Valley should have already discussed the situation with Du Jing and understood more about Chen Hao's situation. He did not ask Chen Hao to avoid the fight, but only told Chen Hao not to underestimate his opponent. Boss. When Chen Hao, Du Jing, and the others arrived at a huge palace, thousands of young cultivators stood up at the same time and shouted excitedly at Chen Hao. At a glance, Chen Hao recognized less than 1/10 of them. Chen Hao had never seen most of them before. These were the elites selected by Du Jing and Lan Feng, who were mainly in charge of the outer members of Proud Sky, to become core members. Sensing the auras of the crowd, a sharp glint flashed across Chen Hao's eyes. Even though he was still in his transcendent mortal state, everyone in the hall felt as though they had been seen through. The noisy hall immediately fell silent. Boss, these are the elites of Proud Sky. Everyone listen up. From front to back, from left to right, introduce yourselves one by one. Let boss know who you are. Sit down. Since you're all here, you must be the elites of Proud Sky. I believe that Du Jing and Lan Feng's judgment is correct. I know many of you here. Now that we've stepped out of the primal secret realm, we'll be going our separate ways. Don't forget the friendship we once had. If there's any trouble in the future, that's enough. There's no need for introductions. Boss. Hearing Qinhao's words, Du Jing and Lan Feng's expressions changed slightly. They wanted to say something, but Chen Hao waved his hand to stop them. I know what you're thinking. However, we're still not strong enough. The strongest among us is only at heavenly immortal realm. You can register for a guardian group first. When we're strong enough, we can establish the Proud Sky Legion, a real legion. We can also establish a sect. But now, what can we do if we stick together? Relying on people, the heavens, or background. It's useless. Only by being strong can we be considered strong. Boss, you mean we should register for a guardian group, develop separately, and then merge? That's right. We're still young. If we band together too early, we'll miss out on many things. Of course, I'm not disbanding. Keep in touch and develop on your own. If you encounter any trouble that you can't solve, you can contact Du Jing or Lan Feng. The prerequisite is that you don't go against the principles of Proud Sky. Don't worry, boss. All right, let's drink to our heart's content today. All right. The banquet lasted for 3 days. Chen Hao wasn't afraid. Even though it was a virtual wine from the second world, it was no different from real wine due to the uniqueness of the second world. Even Chen Hao was dizzy from drinking, but he maintained his sobriety from beginning to end. During the drinking session, Chen Hao didn't show the slightest arrogance of a god of slaughter. He didn't even say anything. However, it was precisely because of this that everyone present felt flattered. This was the god of slaughter who deterred the 10 galaxies, and they were able to drink with him and call him brother. Beep, beep, beep. When everyone dispersed and Chen Hao was about to exit the second world, he received a communication request in his mind. Senior brother. Junior brother. Senior brother, I was just about to contact you. I just came out of the primitive mystic realm and returned to the aircraft. Junior brother, congratulations. Your second senior brother and I have calculated everything, but we still underestimated you. I didn't expect you to achieve such glory. It's just so. Senior brother, you've already advanced to Daluo Jingxian. I'm still a small heavenly immortal. You can sense that? Gu Chen was slightly surprised. This was the second world. They didn't meet but only communicate. Moreover, he entered with the cultivation of a heavenly immortal. Senior brother, you're in high spirits as if you're decades younger. Can I guess? When you come back, settle the matter in the Valley of Happiness first. After Yunru comes out, the 4 of us can have a good gathering. About your master Han Mei, I just learned a little from Yunwei. I didn't expect her to be samsara. You and Chen Shui should know her true identity, right? I really don't know. Senior brother, let's talk about it when I get back. Send my regards to second senior brother. Okay. By the way, senior brother, can you help me find out where my younger siblings and Huyan Alboa are training? I received a message from them a few days ago, but now I can't contact any of them. Oh? I'll go check now. I'll send you a message later. Okay. After cutting off the communication, Chen Hao shook his head, feeling a little uneasy. Eldest senior brother Gu Chen obviously didn't know that the matter in the Valley of Happiness had evolved into a top-sex revenge against him. Chen Yen, Chen Nan, and the others knew that he was about to come out. Logically speaking, they should be guarding the second world. Why weren't they all there? Chen Hao didn't care at first, but now that he knew that a top sect wanted to deal with him, he couldn't ignore it. I hope they didn't do it. 2 cold rays of light flashed in Chen Hao's eyes. He turned into a white light and disappeared from the second world. Chapter 876. The tree wanted peace, but the wind did not stop. Chen Hao did not expect his peaceful cultivation to be disrupted as soon as he stepped out of the primitive realm. Phew, master. Chen Shaoqing saw Chen Hao let out a long sigh of relief and took off the spirit helmet. She obediently walked behind Chen Hao and gently massaged Chen Hao's shoulders with practiced hands. She could feel the boundless fighting spirit surging under Chen Hao's calm appearance. However, she did not know how to comfort him and could not help in any way. Shaoqing, call the manager of the Fan family over. I have something to discuss with him. Hey, master, Please wait for a moment. Chen Xiaoqing did not dare to ask more and quickly walked out of the cultivation room. A moment later, the manager who had been in contact with Chen Hao quickly followed Chen Xiaoqing. Brother Chen, if there's anything you need, feel free to tell me. As long as it's within my power, I'll do my best. Even if I can't, the captain and the others will fully support you. Everyone on this aircraft is on our side. The steward said respectfully before Chen Hao could say anything. Thank you. I'm relieved to hear that. It's like this, I want to leave the aircraft alone. Chen Hao's words caused the manager to cry out in surprise. Chen Xiaoqing's expression also changed. I have a miniature aircraft. Its performance and speed are not worse than this aircraft. Chen Hao said bluntly. I know that, but Brother Chen, it's at least half a year's journey from here to the vast universe galaxy. If you leave alone, you'll use up a lot of energy. Moreover, there are many risks in the chaotic space. Without the Supreme of Hongmeng, it'll be very dangerous. I know that. But I don't have time. I hope you can let me leave quietly. I don't want to disturb outsiders. Brother Chen, you've decided? Yes. All right then. The Patriarch has instructed that if you have any needs, I'll fulfill them. I'll talk to the captain. Brother Chen, be careful, you're pregnant. Don't be targeted. Don't worry. This is a small token of my appreciation. As for the captain, I'll have to trouble Senior. Chen Hao immediately took out 20 drops of Emperor Jade Marrow and floated them in front of the manager. Emperor Chalcedony? That won't do. Brother Chen, let alone me, even the captain wouldn't dare to take your things. If the clan head finds out, it will be terrible. Take it. This is just a small token of my appreciation. Besides, it's nothing to me. How can I accept this? Don't be so polite, we're all family. But, thank you, Brother Chen. I'll go look for the captain now. The steward's eyes lit up as he carefully stored the Emperor Jade Marrow into his mind. Even for him, such a precious item was something that could only be found by chance. Even the captain of the Grand Mist Supremacy Realm was no exception. Of course, if the Supreme of Hongming used it, it wouldn't have much effect. But who didn't have descendants and disciples? This was a heaven-defying saint-grade spirit herb, and Chen Hao had taken out 20 drops of it. He was too generous. He knew about the situation in the primitive mystic realm. Ordinary cultivators couldn't even get 1 drop. It was already good enough for a legion commander to get a few drops. Many important people were already tempted to buy it from cultivators in the primitive mystic realm for their disciples. Even now, he was still in contact with other cultivators on the aircraft to buy ancient treasures and spirit herbs. The Emperor Jade Marrow was what he wanted the most. But most people didn't have enough for themselves. They didn't even have a single drop. Master, Xiaoqing, can I follow you? Did I say I want you to stay? Chen Hao looked at Fan Xiaoqing, who was about to cry, and smiled. Of course I want to take you with me. However, you heard what the manager said just now. It's very dangerous. Xiaoqing isn't afraid. As long as I can stay by your side and serve you, Xiaoqing is willing to die. Chen Xiaoqing said firmly. Don't worry. As long as I don't die, you won't die. Thank you, Master. An hour later, the captain of the Grand Mist Supremacy Realm personally blocked all auras and opened the front hatch of the aircraft. Chen Hao and Chen Xiaoqing activated Xiaoji No. 1 and left quietly. Junior brother, this is bad. As soon as they left the Alliance aircraft, Chen Hao logged into the second world. After seeing the message left by Gu Chen, he immediately sent a communication request. Senior brother, what's the situation? Your younger siblings, Huyen Aoba, and the others were originally training in the northern mystic domain of the Yang planet. That place can connect to the second world at any time. Moreover, for their cultivation, it's not very dangerous. But now they can't be contacted. Lu Qingyang and Guan Nanchao learned from the Wuji Elite Academy that Mo Yui, Dongfang Jian, Xiao Mei, and all the others related to you have disappeared. They were supposed to come to the Yang planet in a few days. Gu Chen's words made Chen Hao, who had always been calm and mentally prepared after reading the message, lose his cool at this moment. Just from the image and the look in his eyes, Gu Chen sensed a murderous aura that made even him, a Daluo Jinxian, feel aghast. Chen Hao's handsome face trembled slightly. He gritted his teeth and did not say a word. In this situation, Gu Chen could not help but call out worriedly. "I understand, senior brother." Chen Hao said only one sentence and then cut off the communication. When Gu Chen sent a communication request again, there was no response. Master, Chen Shaoqing was forced into a corner of the aircraft by the terrifying pressure emanating from Chen Hao. Both his soul and physical body were unable to move, and he was on the verge of exploding. At this time, Chen Shaoqing could only struggle and shout through the soul contract in the depths of his mind. A wisp of intelligence flashed across Chen Hao's scarlet eyes. The killing intent that had materialized between his eyebrows suddenly disappeared. At the same time, he sent out a dazzling energy to Rap Qi. "I'm sorry, Qi. It's all right, master. Go to my macro world and practice on your own. I'll provide you with spiritual herbs, spiritual spring, and magic weapons." "Master, can I do anything for you?" "Just practice at ease. I'll come to you when I need you. Go in first. Follow the fleet alone. When you reach the vast universe galaxy, send a message to Pan Long, Du Jing, Lan Feng, and the others. Mobilize all the forces they can to go to the Yang City. Also, tell Qi to. Yes, master. Oh God, come out. Buzz. When the hatch of Qi 1 opened, Qi go to the Yang planet at full speed. Do your best to help me refine these things. Use the stored materials as you please. Don't worry about wasting them. Master your state of mind. Fuck your state of mind. Cut the crap. Release all the pressure. Okay, after handing over control to treasure-hunting sword spirit, he began to refine according to Chen Hao's instructions. The old god wasn't stupid. After being with Chen Hao for so many years, he knew all of Chen Hao's secrets. But now, Chen Hao wanted him to refine something at all costs. Even the old god was trembling all over. Only the word crazy could describe it. Oh, my reverse scale, I seem to have seen the purgatory of the mortal realm. Only such a master is worthy of being entrusted with everything. To be able to be master's brother and sister is already a blessing. So what if he's the supreme of Hongmeng? So what if they were a top sect? Since this world, this universe, has touched master's reverse scale, it must be bathed in blood. I know the consequences are serious, but why am I so excited? Boss, what's going on? I've never seen master so angry. Motherfucker, control it with all your might. Don't ask about things you shouldn't know. Boss, I'm just concerned about master. With my current abilities, I should be able to help master. Help my ass. Control it with all your might. Whenever you sense a direction that's beneficial to master, get closer. After this, master will help you refine your strongest body. Cough cough. Tell me about it. If I don't know, I won't feel at ease. In short, there's a blind supreme of Hongmeng and a top sect that has touched master's siblings and friends. Ah? The master? Even the heavens cannot touch him. They all deserve to die. Do your job. Is master's father a useless person? Coiling Dragon, Du Jing and the rest's background is not to be trifled with. As for master, I won't hide it from you. With my help, you just wait and see how this little immortal wreaks havoc in vast universe galaxy. Motherfucker. And motherfucker, I understand. In the second world, Du Jing, Coiling Dragon, Lan Feng, Long Yi, Long Ting and the rest were gathered in a private room in a tavern on vast universe star. Boss must be training with all his might. Du Jing said. With Xiao Yan's strength, even senior brother doesn't dare to underestimate him. However, I believe senior brother will win. Coiling Dragon said. But this is a life and death battle. Xiao Yan's background is too strong. The number 1 family in vast universe star, half of the temple is under the Xiao family's control. Even if master wins, he will be bullied. Brother Pan, why don't you contact your Man Huang tribe? Master's matter might involve the upper echelons. Du Jing said. Do I need you to tell me that? I've already contacted them. Wait for their reply. Our Manhuang tribe has been in seclusion for too long. Even if I come out this time, they won't pay much attention to me. When the contact person comes to the second world, it will be fine. I've also contacted them. Lan Feng said. Chapter 877. Dong Lu and Dong Xing already know. I want to do something. A fierce glint flashed in Du Jing's eyes as he looked at everyone. You mean the other members of Ao Tian? Let's not tell boss about this. We'll do it in private. Hu Mainyang's relationship with boss is obvious. Whether she supports it or not, we have to contact her. It's good that she supports it, but if she doesn't, she can't blame us for not telling her. My position in the demise sect is low. The only one I can ask is my master, Xie Sun. Let's see how much he can help me. Long Yi said. Don't contact Bailey Ningbing. Moling Takshu is the #1 genius of the perpetual life sect. It's good enough that she doesn't cause trouble. It's not likely that we'll ask them for help. Lan Feng and the outer members of Ao Tian are familiar with us. We'll contact them separately and find those with strong and trustworthy backgrounds. No matter what, boss can't lose his prestige in the final battle. Second world, vast universe city, eternal life sect's core palace. Disciple Ningbing greets the sect master. Come in. A voice filled with boundless majesty and the will of eternity rang out from the core palace. The palace doors shone with dazzling light as they opened. Bailey Ningbing took a deep breath and calmed the anxiety in her heart. She stepped into the palace. Peak late-stage heavenly immortal realm. Immortal intent realm breaking through to zenith heaven. Your state of mind and aura are very strong. Very good, your improvement is unexpectedly strong. In just 6 years, you're too kind, sect master, there's no need to say more. I already know about you and Takshu. Takshu was a disciple that I nurtured myself. He was also the future leader of the perpetual life sect. But now he's dead. Sect master, no matter who it is, the perpetual life sect will kill them. Otherwise, where will the perpetual life sect put its face? Sect master? I'm sorry, you didn't kill him. Why are you sorry? Tell me about your relationship with Chen Hao. I don't know. Bailey Ningbing was trembling in fear in front of the sect master of the eternal life sect. Her emotions were complicated. After she stepped out of the primitive mystic realm, she entered the second world and appeared directly at the base of the eternal life sect. However, after a few days in the second world, no matter if it was the sect leader, her master, or the cultivators of the eternal life sect, none of them came looking for her. It was only today that her master told her that the sect leader had summoned her. This made her feel uneasy. Then what do you know? How much do you know about him? I don't know anything. I don't understand anything. Sect master, the fault is all mine. Senior brother Moling's death was caused by me. If you want to blame someone, blame me. I'm willing to accept any punishment. Bailey Ningbing knelt in front of the sect master whose face couldn't even be seen clearly, her pretty face pale. I told you it's not your fault. I didn't call you here to let you bear the responsibility for him. To tell you the truth, the Wan clan, the Bai clan, the Zhao clan, and more than 30 other top forces have already formed an alliance to target Chen Hao. As for me, I haven't agreed yet. I just want an attitude from you. Sect master, get up. I've put in a lot of effort. True geniuses are hard to find. From today onwards, your cultivation will be taught by me personally. Also, from today onwards, you'll cut off all contact with that brat. You can't have anything to do with him anymore. Can you do it? If you can do it, I won't pursue his responsibility anymore. The Eternal Life sect, the Grand Fourth sect, has to have a way out. If you can't do it, then the Eternal Life sect will have to take action. I can do it. Very good. I'll impart to you our sect's supreme art. Don't be distracted and throw yourself into cultivation. From today onwards, you're my personal disciple. All of the eternal life sex cultivation grounds will be open to you unconditionally. I'll check on your progress regularly. Half a year later, when your true body returns, I'll tailor a cultivation and experiential training ground for you. Yes. An extremely profound white light suddenly floated out from the eternal life sex sect master's forehead, directly entering Bailey Ningbing's mind. Buzz. Bailey Ningbing felt her mind shake, then immediately returned to normal. Apart from an additional set of the eternal life sex supreme arts incantations and images, there was nothing else. Go. With a wave of his hand, Bailey Ningbing was sent out of the core palace. I've always pursued the peak of the martial way. Why should I care about love? Moling Ta Shui's death was a blessing in disguise. Bailey Ningbing was still immersed in an inexplicable pain and making a difficult decision. But now, her mind was clear, and there was nothing else. Only a strong desire to become stronger made her state of mind and will unprecedentedly clear and firm. Even she herself didn't notice at all how her state of mind changed so quickly. Eternal Life Sex Sect Master's personal disciple, Supreme Art. Taking a deep breath, Bailey Ningbing sped towards her palace. An undetectable trace of spirit slowly dissipated, returning to the core palace. The illusory figure gradually became clear. It was an old man with white hair and a youthful complexion, with a devilish smile on his lips. The great Tao is merciless. Every man for himself, and the heavens take the hindmost. With such talent, it won't be difficult to nurture her into a supreme of Hongmeng within 1,000 years. However, the obsession in her soul abode can't be extinguished. Looks like it has to be reformed continuously. A great era is coming. Sect Master, pass down my orders. From today onward, Bailey Ningbing will be my personal disciple. She will replace Moling Ta Shui. Also, as long as she needs it, the Eternal Life Sect will unconditionally open all resources to her. Understood. Call the fourth elder here as well. Understood. Beep. The second world, vast universe city, Misty Rain Pavilion's base. In a huge palace, Humaingyang sat cross-legged. Tao laws surged around her and immortal light lingered around her. However, her bright eyes were open and she stared blankly. Her eyebrows were slightly furrowed. It was clear that she was deep in thought. At this moment, a notification sounded in her mind, waking her up with a start. Du Jing? As a famous genius of the Sacred Hall, Du Jing had known Humaingyang for a long time, so they had a way to contact each other in the second world. Are you going to talk about Chen Hao? I know. Tell him that Xiao Yan is very strong. Right now, I only have a 20% chance of winning and an 80% chance of losing. He's not much stronger than me. To Du Jing's surprise, Humaingyang did not wait for him to speak after picking up the call. When the time comes, I'll rush over in advance. With that, Humaingyang cut off the call. Du Jing felt stifled, but he felt slightly comforted. This domineering woman's words were ultimately on his boss's side. Although she did not explicitly say anything, Du Jing already felt pretty good. What's going on? She cut off the call without saying anything? Around him, Coiling Dragon and the others frowned and asked when they saw Du Jing opening his mouth to speak, shaking his head, and then nodding his head. Humaingyang already knows. She said she'll rush over in advance. She also told me to tell boss that Xiao Yan is very strong, and with her current strength, she has no chance of winning. She only has a 20% chance of winning. No way? Xiao Yan is that strong? Everyone was shocked. When Humaingyang was in the Divine Temple, she came into contact with heavenly immortal geniuses. She's undoubtedly more familiar with Xiao Yan's strength. Moreover, we've received news that Xiao Yan is fighting because of Humaingyang. With her innate Taoist embryo, it's very possible that Xiao Yan is moved. To tell you the truth, all the disciples in the Divine Temple are moved. Humaingyang is indeed the goddess in everyone's hearts. Beep. 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 While Du Jing was speaking, he was surprised to receive another communication request from Humaingyang. Give him my number. Tell him to add me. I have something to tell him personally. Okay. Damn it, why do you have to do this? You're so domineering. Aren't you just trying to get close to our boss? Du Jing said unhappily. As soon as he said, okay, Hu Meinyang cut off the call again. After all, Du Jing was a core member of Proud Heaven, one of the right-hand men of killing god Chen Hao. Even Chen Shui and the other sisters-in-law treated Du Jing as one of their own, let alone Hu Meinyang. What did she say? She told boss to add her. She said she has something to tell him personally. She'll be boss's woman sooner or later. She's not giving me any face. Forget it, I won't lower myself to her level. Let her wait, boss won't even come online now, Du Jing said. Boss is still the best, he can subdue any kind of woman. Send a message to boss. We don't know about the illicit affairs between boss and Hu Meinyang. Maybe it's something that can help boss. Okay, we can only leave a message first. Let's contact the others. Whoosh. Rumble. In the chaotic space, Old God's flying body flew at a terrifying speed under the control of Treasure Hunter's sword spirit. He didn't avoid the energy storms at all and could be described as rampaging. As for Chen Hao, he was challenging his own limits. When his essence, energy, spirit, and true essence were all exhausted, he shielded himself from the pressure and chaotic energy and resumed his cultivation, directly extracting the violent energy. The great Tao rumbled as the Tao manifestation immortal fruit bloomed between his eyebrows. The Tao manifestation immortal fruit core had been in the primitive mystic realm for 1,000 years and had been nurtured by Old God and the supreme grade spirit spring. It had already taken root in his soul, sprouting, blooming, and bearing fruit in his soul abode, growing into a heaven-defying towering tree. Every branch and leaf contained endless Tao laws and boundless vitality. It stretched into the chaotic space and absorbed the violent energy and complex Tao laws, unaffected by the violent energy. Such a terrifying form and ability left even Chen Hao aghast. He was certain that any one of the branches of the Tao manifestation immortal fruit tree was a natural divine weapon. More importantly, it was like a fish in water in this chaotic space that cultivators feared. Many heavenly Tao nomological fragments that Chen Hao couldn't capture could be absorbed by it, allowing Chen Hao to sense them. Similarly, it didn't mind the violent chaotic energy. It ate it all and easily converted it into boundless and pure vitality. Chapter 878. Phew! Chen Hao let out a long sigh of relief. After he recovered from his exhausted and heavily injured state to his peak state, Chen Hao opened his eyes and stared at the branches and leaves of the Tao manifestation immortal fruit tree that stretched out into the chaotic spatial storm and emanated a 7-colored radiance, and he seemed to be lost in thought. Chaotic space, chaotic energy. It contains almost all kinds of energy in the world, from low level to high level, from the 5 elements to their derivative energy, to yin and yang, to chaos. It's also because of this that chaotic space can break the shackles of the Tao of heaven and earth and transcend the laws of time and space. The flight speed of the aircraft in the chaotic space had to endure the violent spatial turbulence and storms. There was no doubt that the relative speed was not as fast as in a peaceful part of the universe. However, it was a fact that chaotic space spanned thousands of miles in the universe. This was something that could not be explained by science. It also transcended the laws of time and space. My physical body and soul are much stronger than the average Daluo Jingxian, but it's impossible for me to run amok in the chaotic space by myself. However, the Tao manifestation immortal fruit tree can do it like a fish in water. The violent chaotic energy can't harm it at all, and it can directly absorb the endless laws and violent energy contained in it. Chen Hao's eyes sparkled. He took a deep breath and thought to himself, if I can integrate my state into the Tao manifestation immortal fruit tree, won't I be able to achieve a state where there are no taboos? Treasure Hunter, open up your defenses. He acted as soon as he thought of it. However, Chen Hao knew very well that it would not be easy to integrate the carving technique and heart sutra into the Tao manifestation immortal fruit tree. As for him, he was still being crushed by the wheel of fate. What he lacked the most was time. Therefore, he had to combine his cultivation with the Tao manifestation immortal fruit tree. He had to do it at the same time without any delay. Yes, master. Boom. As Treasure Hunter's voice echoed, the aircraft's defenses opened. In an instant, Chen Hao was caught in a terrifying pressure and energy storm. At the same time, Chen Hao placed his hands on the thick branches of the Tao manifestation immortal fruit tree. The great Tao Sanskrit rumbled as he began a new cultivation method. In the great world in Chen Hao's mind. At the center of the vast and enormous space, the azure blue spirit spring water had now become a vast ocean that was tens of millions of miles wide. The spiritual energy seemed to have substance as it permeated the entire space. On the land, there were mountains, rivers, forests, and lakes. Looking down from the void from afar, as long as there was water, it was as if there were meridians and blood vessels connected to the spirit spring sea. The arrangement of every blade of grass and every tree was based on the Qimen Duanjia, the 5 elements, and the 8 trigrams. This world was a real macro world, but compared to the natural macro world of stars, it had the charm of a great medium. Not to mention the celestial immortals, even the supremes of Hongmeng would treat this place as the best holy land for cultivation. Strange flowers and plants filled the mountains and rivers, giving off a strong life force and a strange fragrance of supreme-grade spirit herbs. These strange flowers and plants were all transplanted by Chen Hao from the sect ruins in the primal secret realm and the barren mountains. At the center of the core of the macro world, the Tao manifestation immortal fruit tree was rooted at the bottom of the sea and pierced through the clouds. At this moment, because the branches and leaves were in the chaotic space, its terrifying absorption and transformation ability made the vitality in Chen Hao's mind grow stronger with every passing second. The spiritual energy of heaven and earth became thicker and thicker. With the increase in vitality, the growth of the strange flowers and plants and the spirit spring sea also accelerated. Beside the Tao manifestation immortal fruit tree, the spirit spring surged. Chen Xiaoqing's snow-white naked body sat under the Tao manifestation immortal fruit tree in the spirit spring. Her long and slow breaths inhaled and exhaled the pure spiritual energy of heaven and earth. She was also surrounded by the Tao laws emitted by the Tao manifestation immortal fruit tree, entering a mysterious state of cultivation. Regardless of whether it was the speed of her comprehension of the heavenly Tao laws, her quintessential essence, or the tempering of her soul, they were all increasing at a speed several times faster than usual. This was something that Chen Xiaoqing had never dared to imagine, but now, it was happening to her. What surprised her even more was that although her master, Chen Hao, had taken her into his mind, he had not blocked her mind. On the contrary, the master-servant contract that she had voluntarily handed over was still completely open, allowing her to listen to Chen Hao's inner thoughts at all times, the Sanskrit Great Tao. This was not dual cultivation, but the master-servant contract allowed her to bathe in Chen Hao's Tao state. The benefits were undoubtedly astonishing. It's been 3 months. Why hasn't he even landed in the second macro world? No matter how he cultivates in the aircraft, can he still enter seclusion? Doesn't he know that many people are worried? In a huge aircraft, Hu Mainyang sat alone in the top-notch VIP room of the aircraft. There was a rare look of worry on her beautiful face. She had originally thought that her astonishing progress in the primitive mystic realm would allow her, the saintess, to have greater prestige and appeal in the Misty Rain Pavilion. However, when it came to Xiao Yan, the #1 family on vast universe planet, the Misty Rain Pavilion's master had chosen to remain neutral without hesitation. Although Hu Mainyang had expected this, the Misty Rain Pavilion's master's straightforwardness had deepened her understanding of the Xiao family. She could not blame the master. After all, the Misty Rain Pavilion's mission and uniqueness had always been to tread on thin ice and not offend anyone in the world. Fortunately, the Misty Rain Pavilion's master did not restrict Hu Mainyang's freedom after a deep conversation with her. Perhaps I should meet Xiao Yan, Hu Mainyang sighed inwardly. At this point, even if she did not want to admit it, she knew that Chen Hao could no longer remain as an ordinary friend in her heart. At the beginning, they had stolen treasures and hunted him down. Later, they had comprehended together and eliminated the devil fetus together. Finally, they had used each other and improved together. Then, she had been brought to Proud Heaven's base by the mysterious Han Mei and comprehended Chen Hao's nearly 600 years of profound Dao sounds. Most importantly, she had been raped, and Chen Hao's shameless revenge. Hu Meinyang could not ignore it. No matter what kind of state of mind she had been in at the time, it had now become an indelible mark that had taken root in her body and soul. Even Hu Meinyang, who had always been ambitious, had not considered how valuable Chen Hao would be to her in the future and whether or not he would be able to get through this crisis. It had to be said that human emotions, especially those between men and women, were one of the most mysterious and unfathomable things in the world. Buzz. Thinking of this, Hu Meinyang raised the Soul Realm helmet and instantly raised her aura to the limit. In the endless rolling Dao laws, she entered the second world once again. Meinyang, I don't know what your relationship with him is, but I will prove that I, Xiao Yan, am the most suitable person to be your man and your path protector. There is no one else. I know that you must have logged into the second world. I also know that you have seen my message. 3 years ago, you promised me that if I could step into the Supreme of Hongmeng in 1,000 years, I would be qualified to be your path protector. I have been working hard. Moreover, I firmly believe that I can do it. I will defeat him with my own strength and prove it to you. Messages were stored in Hu Meinyang's information box in the second world. If I lose, I will choose to withdraw. Borrowing the reputation of the major factions and the Valley of Happiness is just an excuse for this battle. You don't have to persuade me. Even if there is no such thing, the battle between me and him is inevitable. The latest unread message made Hu Meinyang frown slightly. She even covered her mouth. After returning to the aircraft, Hu Meinyang had logged into the second world and remained invisible. She did not want to contact Xiao Yan. She was very familiar with Xiao Yan. Before entering the primitive mystic realm, she had often trained with Xiao Yan in the sacred temple. Of course, that was because Xiao Yan had deliberately flattered her and helped her cultivate. Otherwise, she and Xiao Yan would not be on the same level at that time. At that time, although Hu Meinyang would not fall in love, she would not reject any monstrous expert who deliberately approached her. A monstrous genius like Xiao Yan would not reject him either. Just like what she had said to Chen Hao back then, as long as he was a true genius, he would be within her consideration. This was the mission of the Misty Rain Pavilion's Saintess. As for the promise that Xiao Yan would be qualified to be her path protector when he stepped into the Grand Mist Supremacy realm in 1,000 years, Hu Meinyang had not only said this to Xiao Yan. However, Xiao Yan was undoubtedly the one she thought the most highly of back then. Now, after returning from the primitive mystic realm in just 6 years, she had unknowingly changed too much. It was all because of Chen Hao. In fact, this was also the reason why the Misty Rain Pavilion's master, who saw through everything, did not restrict Hu Meinyang's position. Hu Meinyang had already cultivated the Mortal Heart Sutra to the 9th stage and had some understanding of the 10th stage. However, she, who had suffered a loss once, remembered the warning left behind by the Misty Rain Pavilion's founder. For the time being, she did not dare to break through. Her control of the 7 emotions and 6 desires was already very strong. Under such circumstances, Hu Meinyang's state of mind leaned toward Chen Hao. What did that mean? The Misty Rain Pavilion knew that it was impossible to stop someone with a Khanate Dao embryo who had cultivated the Mortal Heart Sutra to such a level from falling in love. The Misty Rain Pavilion's Saintess and Misty Rain Pavilion's Master with a Khanate Dao embryo were an example. What about fairness? You have cultivated for more than 1,000 years. How long has he cultivated for? Hu Meinyang murmured. She took a deep breath and directly applied for Xiao Yan's number. In the core area of vast Universe City, in a bustling area adjacent to the temple, Xiao Yan was sitting cross-legged in a huge manner. He was immersed in the state of thoughtless tranquility, comprehending the mysteries of heaven and earth as me, and I as heaven and earth. No cultivator would be willing to be interrupted in such a state. Under normal circumstances, they would not give others the chance to interrupt them. However, the wisp of Xiao Yan's divine sense that was immersed in the second world suddenly opened its eyes. Its eyes flashed with excitement. What was even more exaggerated was that even his true body outside the second world did not hesitate to withdraw from the state of cultivation. His mind instantly integrated into the second world. Mainyang. Chapter 879. Xiao Yan's eyes shone brightly as he stared at Hu Mainyang in the video. He couldn't hide the excitement on his face, but Hu Mainyang's words caused his expression to change. Brother Xiao Yan, Mainyang wants to spar with you. Is that okay? Hu Mainyang smiled. She was still charming and seductive, but her tone and voice were not as natural as before. Xiao Yan could not feel the slightest hint of a smile, only coldness. Mainyang. Xiao Yan took a deep breath and said, "Are you trying to test me on his behalf? You don't dare? It seems that I underestimated your relationship with him. I just want to know, is your promise from back then still valid?" Mainyang said it before, of course it's valid. It's just qualification. Brother Xiao Yan, you've cultivated for more than 1,000 years, and how long has Chenhao been cultivating? Is this your so-called fair fight? No matter what the result is, you've already lost. Don't say that the Happy Valley is just an excuse. You're doing it for their high reward, right? You're in the peak realm, and you can step into the ranks of Daluo Jingxian at any time. You want to have a life and death battle with someone who just came out of the primitive mystic realm, who hasn't had time to consolidate his cultivation, and who has cultivated for less than 1/10 of your time. You're the number 1 heaven immortal in the vast universe galaxy. Mainyang finds it funny. I look down on people like you. After whom Mainyang finished speaking, she cut off the connection. Her cold and sharp words revealed her disdain for Xiao Yan in the slightest. Xiao Yan, who was excited and hot-blooded, thought that Hu Mainyang must have contacted him because her relationship with Chenhao was not as good as he had imagined. Suddenly, he felt as if a bucket of cold water had been poured over his head. He was speechless for a long time, and only his expression became more and more gloomy and violent. Chi. Boom boom boom, boom boom boom. Humph, no one can change what I, Xiao Yan, want to do or decide on. You, Hu Mainyang, are just a woman I want to conquer. Sooner or later, you'll become my woman. A heartless actress. Bitch. Boom boom boom. You dare to provoke me for a man. The violent energy did not contain any divine ability, but it caused the incomparably strong cultivation room to shake and the innumerable protective runes to crack. It shouldn't be like this. What Xiao Yan didn't expect was that after leaving the second world, Hu Mainyang's complexion became one of self-blame. Why did you lose your cool? Hu Mainyang patted her forehead. When he left, Xiao Yan's crazed eyes and violent aura made Hu Mainyang feel great danger even though it was just an image. At the same time, Hu Mainyang came to her senses and realized that she had overreached herself. Without a doubt, this would make Chenhao suffer even more from Xiao Yan's crazy flames of war. She wanted to help Chenhao, but now, love blinded one's wisdom. However, if Hu Mainyang was given another chance, she would at most not contact Xiao Yan. Even if she did, she would still say the same thing. If the Misty Rain Pavilion's holy daughter wanted to be smooth and slick, she would always be able to do so. She could not show her emotions on her face. However, the disguise of a mask was sometimes impossible to achieve. Master, we have arrived at the space barrier near Golden Light City on the Yang planet. Just before Hu Mainyang contacted Xiao Yan, a strangely shaped aircraft, which looked like a round disc carrying a towering tree, broke through layers of space storms at a terrifying speed in the chaotic space and came to an abrupt stop. Treasure Hunter's sword spirit said to Chenhao telepathically, "Master, I have refined 8 pills according to your request." Old God also diverted some of his attention and said, "Old God, you are far from enough. Continue." Swish. As he spoke, Old God's body returned to Chenhao's mind. Chenhao tore the void with his palms and the powerful space barrier was easily torn apart. Chenhao stepped into the world of the Yang planet. It's been 10 years. Chenhao am back. There are only 6 months left. Chenhao, who was at the peak of the late-stage heaven immortal stage, took a deep breath and looked down at the vast world of the Yang planet. He had arrived at the Yang planet 3 months in advance. The fleet returning from the primitive mystic realm would only arrive at the vast universe galaxy after 3 months. The aircraft from East Flow City would naturally arrive at East Flow City first, and it would take about 3 months to reach the Yang planet. In other words, Chen Hao had 6 months to act in secret. Chen Nan, Chen Yan, Huyan Aobua, and the others, as well as Mo Yui, Dongfang Jian, Xiao Mei, Li Xiaoling, and the others who were still on the Wuji planet, had all mysteriously disappeared. Chen Hao was 100% sure that he was the cause. It went without saying who did it. Now, 3 months had passed. Although Chen Hao concluded that the other party was using them to threaten him, at least they should have taken action after the fleet returned to the vast universe galaxy. But now, Chen Hao could not be sure whether they had been humiliated or not. The shape-shifting ring, the great shape-shifting technique, the unique skills of spirit cultivation, the carving technique. As long as I act carefully, I believe that even the Supreme of Hongmeng won't be able to discover me if he doesn't deliberately take precautions. If anything happens to any of them, sooner or later, I'll make you regret being born in this world. Chen Hao, who had completely concealed his aura, flew directly toward Golden Light City like a gust of wind. Fellow cultivator, welcome to Golden Light City. Please show me your wealth card. Thank you. When the disguised Chen Hao appeared at the majestic city gate of Golden Light City, the law enforcement officers of the Alliance guarding the city gate immediately greeted him with smiles on their faces. Although Chen Hao was only at the peak of the advanced stage of the Earth's celestial stage, his aura was extremely strong and his appearance was very young. For a small city like the Yang planet, such a figure was definitely a rare genius. Chen Hao prepared a wealth card with the same appearance and information as the one he was now and handed it to the guard. Vast Universe Star, Black Rock City? Mr. Doe, please. Golden Light City welcomes you. After reading the information on the wealth card, the guard immediately became more respectful. A genius of the Vast Universe Star. Although it was only the identity of a small city on the Vast Universe Star, it was something that many cultivators could not obtain in their lifetime. Thank you, Chen Hao said with a smile, not caring about the guard's snobbish attitude. Status, and strength determined the kind of courtesy one would receive. This was the same whether in the secular world or the world of cultivation. Stepping out of the city, Chen Hao seemed to move slowly but was actually very fast. In an instant he disappeared from the guard's gaze. People from the Vast Universe Star. Captain, do you think they're here to cause trouble for the Wuji Star? After watching Chen Hao disappear, a soldier walked up to the guard who had just received Chen Hao and asked in a low voice. During this time, many cultivators from the Vast Universe Star have come over. If not for the Wuji Star, who would come to our barren little city? That young man just now is not simple. He's at the peak of the advanced stage of the Earth's celestial stage at such a young age, and his aura is very strong. I feel that he's comparable to a celestial immortal. People from big places are really powerful. Oh, no wonder you're so polite, Captain. I knew it. He's just an Earth immortal from the Vast Universe Star. We've seen a lot of sky immortals from the Vast Universe Star. Happy Valley is really something now. 2 years ago, when he saw that Chen Hao from the Limitless Star was at the top of the human rankings, he put down his pride and came to make friends with the Limitless Star. At that time, he even said that the 10-year duel with Chen Hao was just a formality. It's better to squash enmity than to keep it alive. The Wuji Stars Lu Qingyang, Guan Nanchao, and the others were all happy. Now that Happy Valley suddenly had a strong backing, they turned their backs on them. The Wuji Star was dumbfounded. Captain, I feel that this scene will definitely cause a sensation in the entire Vast Universe Star system. Nonsense, do you even need to feel it? Even an idiot could see that the Wuji Star's Chen Hao was known as the killing god Chen Hao. He was invincible in the 10 major galaxies of the primal mystic realm. He was the top genius of the 10 major galaxies. Of course, compared to the number 1 sky immortal in the Vast Universe Star system, Xiao Yan, who had cultivated for more than 1,000 years, he was still no match. It was said that Xiao Yan had the strength to kill the late-stage Daluo Jingxian. In any case, the life and death battle between the two would cause a sensation. Not to mention, the killing god Chen Hao had established the proud Heaven's Legion. There were many geniuses supporting him, and many powerful backgrounds behind him would not sit idly by. The Happy Valley's side was also very strong, and they had invited Xiao Yan, the #1 family in the vast universe star system. It would be strange if it didn't cause a sensation. Damn it, I really want to go to Mysterious Heaven City now. Captain, take me with you. Go go go, I don't even know if I can go. Chen Hao's soul perception was abnormal. Although he was thousands of miles away, the conversation between the two guards was clearly heard by him. This also made him certain that his choice to go to the Wuji Star Station in Golden Light City was undoubtedly the right choice. After quickly walking to a deserted corner, Chen Hao directly turned into a gust of wind. After 10 minutes, he appeared near the Wuji Star Station. He had merged with everything in the world, and with the concealment of the spirit cultivation technique and the concealment of the appearance-changing ring, even the masters of the Grand Mist Supremacy realm would not be able to detect the slightest abnormality even if they searched with all their might. Gusts of wind blew, and every movement within thousands of miles of the Wuji Star Station appeared clearly in Chen Hao's mind. Without any effort, he locked onto the auras of dozens of Sky Immortal experts. These Sky Immortal cultivators did not even hide their auras. There were men and women, and they were unscrupulous and fearless. They occupied a place in 2s and 3s, drinking and bragging. These two should be the leaders. Soon, Chen Hao locked onto the two with the strongest auras, who were surrounded by several young girls. They were two middle-aged men in the late stage of the Sky Immortal realm. They looked to be in their 30s, which was enough to prove that they had stepped into the Sky Immortal realm much earlier than ordinary cultivators. They were definitely top geniuses in the Asian Ing planet. You're tuning in to the Wang Lin's Journey YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.